It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. It's three-man front on Jox. Pat, Conrad, Molly Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. Great show on tap for you. We try to inform and entertain each and every day here on Jox. Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, he will join the program as the NBA playoffs will continue. Also, we'll continue our discussion with him throughout the summertime months of some win totals around college football. Ira Schafel will join us in hour number 2 from War Chant, who covers the Florida State Seminoles. That is Alabama's first opponent. We'll talk to him of any pressure at all in regards to Norvell in trying to rebound from a very difficult season last year as he gets ready for the Alabama Crimson Tide the first week of the season. Bill Bender from the Sporting News, he will join the show. We'll get his preseason thoughts on the college football world. He's got some interesting articles out at sportingnews.com, including Alabama-Auburn not being the best rivalry in college football.
Bill.
Let me get out of your way, Molly. It's always the handoff.
It is.
The handoff
that was
is always
awkward.
I just want to know why there were 3 chairs over there.
It was kind of the old days.
Imaginary friend.
I know, yeah.
Like we were lined up like we were getting ready for a firing squad.
Imaginary friend. Yeah. We still kind of are.
Yeah.
Back to Auburn and Alabama not being the best rivalry.
Yeah, according to Sporting News, no big surprise. Ohio State and Michigan is the number one rivalry.
That would have been an upset. Ohio State versus Michigan State is the best rivalry.
Well, a spoiler alert, they're top 25. They really like Illinois.
It was good to see Brett Bielema last night. If you missed it at Wrigley Field, Brett Bielema and former Ole Miss quarterback Luke Altmaier, they were giving the illustrious task of singing the 7th inning stretch, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. This is what the current head coach of the University of Illinois sounds like singing.
Brewer fans, sit down. Cub fans, let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the crowd.
That's Luke, by the way, singing there.
Buy me
There's
some
Brett.
peanuts and Cracker Jack.
And some hot dogs.
I don't care if I ever get back.
That's both of them.
It's root
Root for the.
That's the crowd.
if
They don't win. It's
Crowd is
a
better.
shame, 'cause it's 1,
2.
3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
There you go.
That wasn't that bad. Not as much pressure doing that when you have the crowd joining in and everybody has had some libations for the previous 6.5 innings, where
Well,
you can go out there and it would be a lot less pressure than the national anthem.
Liquid courage.
Yeah,
That's what they call
liquid
it.
courage. There
Back
it
in the
is.
day.
Mhm.
He was speaking to the Illini group there at Wrigley Field before the game. That's why he was in attendance to the Cubs-Brewers game. And he had some interesting things to say. He was asked about the college football playoff. And I'm going to kind of call BS on this statement by Brett Bielema. He says, we voted unanimously as Big Ten coaches to stay at 9 and actually maybe have an SEC challenge. I was told that the SEC coaches voted unanimously to stay at 8 and not play the Big Ten, but then some people pop off and say what they want to say, end of quote. There was no vote on a conference schedule from the SEC. So I don't know where he's coming from that it was voted on unanimously by the SEC coaches in regards to 8 games. I guess since how many games did he win at Arkansas in that conference?
I believe his record was 11-29.
Yeah,
in
11 and
SEC
29 in SEC play. And now he continues to run his mouth in the offseason.
Well, but he also came back to a very common sentiment we've heard from many leaders, whether administratively or coaches. And what did he say? What is best for college football as a whole? He came back to that. And then he made reference to younger coaches. And he's kind of taken the role of, hey, I've been through this. I see it. You got to be able to see beyond right now or next year. And you got to look at the big picture and what's coming down the pipe. And a lot of these guys, they probably don't realize that. for whatever that means. So he's taking on a mentoring role.
Hey, you too can flame out in the SEC and be the head coach of Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thanks, Brad.
And have a contract dispute where they still owe you money while you're coaching with the Patriots.
Just like Ron Zook burned out at Florida and then ended up at Illinois. Now, I will say this, Ron Zook got Illinois to the Rose Bowl. Don't know if Brett Bielema will have Illinois in the illustrious Rose Bowl.
Well, he got Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl, though, right? Bielema when he was there.
I was referring to Illinois.
Oh, I know.
It's a different beast in Champaign-Urbana than Madison, Wisconsin. Little different.
Lovie Smith never did it, did he?
No. No,
he got a great beard, though.
But he did take the Bears to a Super Bowl.
Man, he's got a Mount Rushmore type beard.
That beard is
it's a great beard.
Outstanding.
Way better than Ryan Day's.
Brett Bielema went on to say that I don't think there's any way we can do a 16-team playoff if they're not at 9. Talking about the SEC. Also last night, a story came out from Brett McMurphy. No other person in the college football world had this story but Brett McMurphy. There was not anybody else kind of piggybacking off of a story and saying, Brett McMurphy, first to report, my sources tell me this. He reported last night that conference commissioners in Asheville, North Carolina have decided to start over on determining the 2026 college football playoff format. Big Ten and SEC initially wanted 4 AQs each, with 2 each for the ACC Big 12. However, ACC and Big 12 have pushed back. SEC coaches later publicly did not support 4 AQ, instead preferring a 5 AQ plus 11 at-large format for 16-team playoff, as did the ACC and Big 12. The SEC wants more value given to strength of schedule metrics, something CFP executives discussed in today's meetings. However, a source cautioned, even if strength of schedule is supposed to carry more weight with committee, it still boils down to whether the opinions on who they think are the best teams. Deadline for finalizing the CFP format is December 1st. Nobody else had that. So the big headline was Brett McMurphy saying that everybody there at the meetings in Asheville have decided that we're just going to start over. All this work that we have put in, what should work out? It's the 1 through 6. Maybe we're starting over. And the Big 12's not happy. SEC and the Big 10, the power moving. We reportedly are starting over.
This is like when you're in a bad relationship, and instead of just ending the relationship, you say, oh, well, let's just start over. Let's just act like we're starting from new. But you're always going to have those memories of what happened in the past. They're going to have memories of these discussions and what the pain points were beforehand. I don't think restarting it's going to.
I can't erase your crazy from my memory.
Correct.
Or, hey, we've got a really bad relationship, so let's have a kid and let's just make it
That'll
even
make
better.
it better.
That is perfect. Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that Brett McMurphy's reporting is inaccurate or incorrect, but nobody else reported that. So,
for the love, let's not start over.
What are you're going to restart and say? All right, 5-11 or 4 automatic qualify. You know, it's going to be the same debate. The 4-4-3-3 model is not going to suddenly appear. Ooh, that one's more enticing now.
I mean, is there a model out there that we have completely just overlooked that is yet to be determined?
No, but the elephant in the room
light?
continues to be strength of schedule and making it transparent where everybody can see it, where you can justify the decision that you've come to with the 12 teams or 16 teams that you believe are worthy of being in a college football playoff. But we're not going to get that. So we're going to try to address all these other things, but that's the stem of most of this. It is.
Well, that's the frustrating part about the strength of schedule debate because, you know, like Pat just read, you can say, oh, yeah, hey, that is going to be criteria numero uno, top of the priority list when we're ranking these teams. But you don't know what those discussions are like in the room. They can say that all day, but to your point, Landrum, if that information isn't readily available for us to see, how do we know that they're not, you know, skewing the details or well, you know, let's weigh in game control this week. Maybe that metric's more important now. And, yeah, you can tell the SEC that you're going to do it, but not actually do it.
Yeah. So we'll see if any more information comes out of Asheville, North Carolina on what exactly is happening there. Big night in Atlanta, Georgia last evening. If you missed it, quite a comeback for the Braves. They were down to just a handful of outs, down 4-1. This is the way it sounded on the Braves radio network right here on Jox.
2-2. Swung on and whistled down the left field line. This is going to be big. In to score Allen. In to score Acuna. Here comes Verdugo. And he will score. The game is tied. 3 RBI double by Ozuna as he just lit the fuse and whistled one down the left field line. Alonso has grounded into a dozen double plays this season. One of those right here would be nice. And he lifts one to deep right. Going back now, Acuna to the warning track. Ronald jumps up and he reels it in. Now they throw to first and they double off Soto. It's a double play by Acuna from deep right field. Outstanding play by Ronald to make the catch, and then Soto was asleep with a switch.
Big crowd, over 36,000, and the pitch swung on, lifted into center field and deep. On the run, Taylor. That's going to be deep enough. He makes the catch right up against the wall, but tagging and scoring and winning are the Atlanta Braves. Austin Riley put a charge in one and almost hit it out of here in a deep sac fly, and the Braves walk it off in an amazing comeback win against the Mets.
Braves have done very well against the Mets. They have won 24 of the last 34 meetings between the two teams. That's impressive. And that goes back to 2022. They've outscored them 205 runs to 135 runs during that span. Atlanta has won the season series with the Mets every year since 2018. They have had the Mets number. The teams play 6 more in the next 9 days. And then they don't play again until later in the season, and it's in a cluster of 6 games towards the very back end of the schedule. So, once again, I hate the scheduling that Major League Baseball. This is crazy that you don't play anybody. It's like we haven't even played the Cubs yet.
Really?
No, we haven't even played the Cubs yet.
We've played the Red Sox twice already.
No, we haven't played the Cubs.
That's bad.
No, we played the Red Sox already twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both.
You both played the Red Sox twice, but you have not played the Mets until last night. And we have not played the Cubs yet.
That's
and we're almost to 4th
wild.
of July,
Yeah.
and we haven't even played the Cubs.
So we get Mets, Marlins, Phillies, Mets.
You can make up some ground there.
Hey, 20 and 10. Every month, 20 and 10.
Well, and here's the wild thing that
Now
Pat
19
shared
and 10.
with me this morning is the Braves actually have a positive run differential.
Yeah, they're like plus 13.
As bad as they've been, you are still.
It's all those 1-run losses.
Yeah, if you want some optimism, there you go.
Braves left-hander Chris Sale on the bump tonight, 2.79 ERA. You know, he was supposed to pitch over the weekend against Colorado, but they said, hey,
We'll save you for New York.
Let's give you an extra day's rest and have you ready to go against the Mets tonight. The Mets are throwing Paul Blackburn, who has a 6.75 ERA.
Spent most of his time in Oakland.
Yep. So
got a
we'll see
nice
what
beard.
happens.
He's a ginger.
Atlanta, 7 games under 500, 12 games back, but they're now 6.5 games back in the National League wild card. So
One at a
win.
time.
Big win last night.
Last
Huge.
night, that will be there with the 5-0 shutout that we were in attendance for, me and my wife, of the Red Sox. I'm putting together my 5 best games of the 2025 season. We have 2 now.
That was
Only
big.
3 to go.
Yeah.
That was big.
Well, we have a long summer of heat and humidity ahead, so keep your home comfortable with Trane, America's most reliable HVAC brand. And to give you more peace of mind, Trane is offering up to 10-year warranties on parts and labor on select home comfort systems. So to learn more about this offer and to find a specialist near you, visit Trane.com.
College World Series, yes, an SEC team will play for the national championship. We'll get you up to date what took place last night in Omaha and what's scheduled for today. A very busy Wednesday here on Jox. Well, there are two undefeated teams left in Omaha, Nebraska. It is the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers,
Shanties.
not Chanticleers, as their head coach pointed out in a press conference. It's Chanticleers. It's more upscale when you say it, Chanticleers.
Yes. They're going to go watch the Chanticleers play.
LSU, they take care of business, so they are also undefeated. Ty Richardson gets another day of potential golf as the Arkansas Razorbacks eliminated the UCLA Bruins. We saw that coming after UCLA's game yesterday.
What was the club that he's hoping to play? The exclusive Lost Field?
Yeah, what was the club? Do you know?
I don't know any golf courses in Omaha. I didn't spend too much time in Omaha, unless it was for the World Series.
Gotcha. In regards to
Lost Rail.
That's what it was?
Yep. Ooh.
Is it public, private? What is it?
Oh, no.
That's private?
No, it's private. All
Warren Buffett.
capital letters, private.
Is he a member there?
That's, yeah. Probably. I don't know. Warren Buffett, he strikes me as, probably not.
He's more of a putt-putt guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He owns Dairy Queen. I can see him going to Dairy Queen. Give him a
going
blizzard.
out on the putt-putt
Yeah,
course.
go, because the blizzard will never melt.
He goes
Honey,
to Mickey
I played
D's.
72 today.
He goes to Mickey D's every day, I think. I
Does
watched
he?
the documentary.
Oh, yeah, he does,
And he
yeah.
gets the Egg McMuffin.
And he drinks like an insane amount of Coca-Cola. Like an unhealthy amount, but somehow he operates just fine.
Yeah, he's like 110.
Yeah. Something like close enough.
Arkansas eliminates UCLA. Semifinals are now set as Coastal Carolina. They'll play today at 1 o'clock against Louisville, as Louisville took out Oregon State. So the Beavers are going home. And then tonight, LSU and Arkansas. That will be a rematch of the first game on Saturday. LSU 2-0. Meanwhile, Arkansas 2-1.
And Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East. The selling point of Dobbs Ford, first and foremost, is the people. While they have a lot of the inventory you're going to find at other Ford dealerships, you're going to find, you're not going to find any better people than you want at Dobbs Ford. The Goshen family, wonderful folks, husband and wife, managing partners, and the entire team, they're going to take care of you. Right now, they got Ford employee pricing. That means you pay what the Ford employees pay on certain makes and models. 90 days until your first payment. Alabama's largest showroom selection. F-150s are beautiful. Get the Dobbs edition. They can really sport it up for you. The Broncos, the Expeditions, the Mustangs, you know what they have. Go check it out. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Check it out. Go see and feel the difference at Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East. And make sure you tell everybody there at Dobbs that Landrum at Jox sent you.
On June 9th, 1993, the Montreal Canadiens passed around the Stanley Cup after beating the LA Kings in 5 games. If you think back to 1993, Jurassic Park was mauling its competition at the box office. You had Roseanne and Home Improvement. Everybody in America was watching those two TV shows. Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes was topping the Billboard charts. And that was the last time that a team from Canada, that's the national sport of Canada, right? Hockey,
Oh, yeah.
a sport that they have not won since 1993. As the United States in the hockey hotbed known as South Florida.
Yeah.
As the Florida Panthers, for the second year in a row, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, they take it home once again last night by knocking off the Edmonton Oilers.
And that's wild because you add with Florida, Tampa Bay, they won a couple Stanley Cups here
They went
recently.
back-to-back.
Too. Yeah, so it's
I'm
like, what's
telling
going
you,
on in Florida?
Florida is the hotbed. That's why they want to put another franchise in Atlanta. Southern boys
That's
know how to
right.
play hockey.
No, I was saying that a lot of it had to do with the Cuban influence. But okay, fine.
No, it's just good old Southern boys. You look
That's
at
right.
that roster for the Florida Panthers. It is filled with the Billy Bobs and the Jim Bobs and whoever else, right? I actually
I'll take
haven't
your
looked at
word.
the
But
roster.
Take your word
the
for it,
Cubans
Pat.
did bring us the sandwich, cigars, and hockey.
Yes. Think in that order.
Kachuk is on the roster. I know you like Kachuk from
Yeah.
the Four Nations.
Yeah, well, that's a Southern name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kachuk?
he was the one that got in all the fights,
He
right?
sure was. Yeah.
The Kachuk brothers.
It's a good American right
One
there.
of them is on the Panthers.
Yeah, very much so. He's the one that had like all sorts of health issues, but he still
he did,
played.
But he still played.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like he had like
yeah.
muscle flying off his bone and doctors telling him that he was going to be crippled for the rest of his life. if
Well,
he
we're
did-
built different in the South.
But I don't
Pat.
care.
That's what I'm saying. He played.
Yeah.
And how about the head coach of the Florida Panthers, Paul Maurice? He's the first head coach, manager in Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, or NHL history to win multiple championships after winning none his first 25 years as a coach. And he's won back-to-back.
Persistence.
Wow.
Pays off.
That is amazing.
That's awesome.
I was just curious if our friends up north, if they had any smart-ass things to say on social media last night. You know, tariff war and all that kind of stuff. 51st state. Why do we want them to become a state when they can't play hockey? Like, what is the
maybe their
point?
hockey would be better if they became a state, Pat.
What
And we
else
had
does-
some of the youth programs to grow the game.
Bingo. You nailed it. That's exactly what the problem is.
So you're saying Canada has nothing to offer us outside of hockey?
No,
And
there's
maple
there's a few
syrup.
things.
And well, I do like that.
It is good.
Maple syrup.
We
What
need
else?
Celine Dion?
That's for Damien, not for us.
Okay.
Socialized healthcare.
Isn't Drake from Canada?
He is.
Okay.
But he lives here, so he's
That's
fine.
true.
Does he have dual citizenship like FSU Dave?
Something like that.
You left out Anne Murray.
She was big.
Not in,
Ryan Reynolds.
Not in physical stature. She was big time.
Yes, yes.
I was just trying to clarify for the kids.
Now, I will say this, where they had the summit, that was in where was it? Was it British Columbia? Where'd they have the summit this week? The G7 summit?
Oh.
It was stunningly
It would have
beat out.
been on the west part because there was 2 hours time difference. Just remembering the clock on Air Force One when President Trump was speaking to the media, and it was 11 o'clock local time and then 1 o'clock
Alberta.
DC time.
It was Alberta?
Yeah.
Okay. Stunningly beautiful. It was just picturesque. Beautiful part of the world. No, I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm being,
Yeah, no.
I mean, it was beautiful.
It is beautiful up there.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Alberta, Alabama.
Is there a lot of confusion between those two?
No, just Alberta and Alberta.
To be fair, as a kid, it really threw me for a loop when I found out there was a Birmingham over in
Birmingham.
the UK. Yeah,
It's
Birmingham.
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 Yeah, they don't say ham like we do
Well,
over
they
here in the
should.
States.
Well, they should.
So yeah, I was actually had that on one of my TVs last night because
I'm proud of you.
I was rooting for America,
Absolutely.
Big win for the United States.
even though I don't know how many Americans actually played on the Florida Panthers.
Kachuk, he's American, right?
No, he's American.
There's not a lot, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, we got one.
Yeah.
I viewed the documentary on the Rob, the guy that was the mayor of Toronto. Remember the guy caught
Oh, yeah.
smoking crack?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What's he doing now?
Oh, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's why you don't smoke crack.
I don't think the crack had anything to do with it. It was a very rare tumor that they found. It ended up taking
I
his
bet you
life.
feel bad now, don't you?
I could have kept going, but no. I'll stop there. I'll stop.
But yes, he did have a couple of instances where he was, for his sake, unfortunately, videoed with The Rock.
Him and Dwayne Johnson are friends?
No,
Oh,
not that Rock.
Okay.
Coming up at 10:45, we'll get our Vegas insider to discuss the NBA Finals. That is still going on. Oklahoma City, one game away from clinching the championship of the National Basketball Association. 11 o'clock, we'll go to Tallahassee, Florida. Ira Shafel will join the program from warchant.com. 12 noon, we'll look at the brand scheme of the big picture of college football as Bill Bender will join us from the Sporting News. All that straight ahead and your text on the text line brought to you by Courtesy GMC 205-834-9450. Been getting a lot of texts during the commercial break in regards to that song. Is a great song, by the way. Takes me back to 1993. That's the way love goes, Landrum.
Oh, I know, Pat. Oh, I know.
FSU Dave educated me on a couple of things. 5 Panthers born in the U.S., but 1 actually born in Plantation, Florida, which is a suburb of Fort Lauderdale. Canada has an extra tax that players have to pay, which makes it difficult to attract free agents.
Why is Dave always screwing up our arguments?
Well, he's
With his
got dual
facts.
citizenship, so
I know.
he's kind of caught in the middle. I mean, is he a Canadian? Is he an American?
So that's how I feel about Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Don't get on that list, Dave.
Also, Patton Trustful, he texted into the show. He said there's an interesting connection between Birmingham and the Florida Panthers in the NHL. In the 1990s, the Florida Panthers were the Birmingham Bulls parent team.
Oh.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Brad Smith, that played for the Bulls, actually made his way to the Panthers and played for and lost the Stanley Cup in 1997.
I thought we were going to get the story of, did you know that the Florida Panthers were almost the Birmingham Panthers at one time?
Or the Birmingham Bulls?
So this is back to what Dave was saying about the tax. So this is kind of bizarre. So if you play for a Canadian hockey team, if you, let's say you're on the road, you're playing the Florida Panthers in Florida, your earnings for that game are taxed based on the income tax in the state you're playing in.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things that Major League Baseball players.
I guess the Blue Jays have to deal with that as well, maybe?
Yeah, I do know that there was a lot of things that went on when Montreal had a team and the Blue Jays, obviously, in the National League had to go to Montreal. I don't know if it was a situation, not only Canadian, but the fact that Montreal is a French-Canadian province and maybe they had some different taxes than maybe Toronto as Ontario. And so I know that there was always a rub with National League teams having to go to Montreal. I actually knew a former major leaguer that actually played for the Expos, had a cup of coffee with the Expos, and he was telling me the tax implications and going back and forth because he was an American. It was rather difficult at times.
I've never been to Canada. I would like to go one day. What's the hot spot? What's the city? Is it Vancouver? Is it Montreal, Toronto?
Now, when you say hot, are you talking about like the fashion capital, the financial capital,
yeah, what would be
entertainment capital?
Yeah, what would be the equivalent of New York City?
I would think Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
I would think Montreal is more of the kind of the elite type town because it's more of got the French influence. And then Vancouver's more the, just like our Pacific Northwest with the likes of Seattle and Portland.
So Montreal more of the hoity-toity?
I would say that that's probably more affluent.
So they're the Hamptons and Toronto's New York City. So you go on vacation there.
And Calgary is more like the, Jackson Hole?
I think Calgary is more like Middle America.
That's your Omaha, Nebraska of Canada?
I'll say it's up there.
Yeah. I think Edmonton's the same way.
Yeah.
Edmonton.
Vancouver's always been a city that I've heard good things about. I would like to go.
Yeah, it'd be a cool place to visit. I would love to go to Canada at some point.
Why don't you go live there?
No, I definitely don't want to do that. Just go and come right back.
Since you love it so much.
Nah, I'm good.
The Courtesy
You could be a
GMC
Mountie.
text line is open. 205-834-9450 on the text line.
A lot of those texts coming in. Pat will go to Drake, big Florida fan. He starts us off by saying one of the top cornerbacks in the 2026 class just decommitted from Nebraska. Looks like he's coming to Florida. Sorry, Molly.
That's okay.
Molly says
saw that.
that's okay, and she saw it. So, Drake, quit rubbing it in.
It was a bad day in the state of Nebraska. You lose that big
Number
recruit.
one overall player.
The number one player decides he's going to go to Alabama.
Well, like you said yesterday, I'm callous.
But
Dylan
you find they
Raiola
have
lost some more
momentum,
weight.
though. Mhm.
Yeah, all the weight that he lost, Zach Calzada at Kentucky found.
I like snacks. Josh in Huntsville. Going back to the Braves and the win last night. That's great and all, but the Braves still blew a 6-run lead in 1 inning. Thank you, Josh. We appreciate it. We watched it. Heard it.
A nice reminder for you, Landrum, because I'm sure you forgot about that.
Yeah, I did. Bobby says, I said it on Morning Jocks, and I'll say it again. Until Bielema can get his record against SEC competition up to 500 at minimum, he probably doesn't need to say anything about how many conference games are played in the SEC. Just comes off as him being upset he couldn't hang with the big boys.
Yeah, and he still can't hang with the big boys in the Big Ten.
Nope.
This one rolls in about the Braves. Ben Ingram has about 1,000,001 stupid little sayings, which is about 1,000,000 too many, and he uses most of them every game. One of the most annoying MLB play-by-play guys. Last night, when they tagged Alonso out at second base, he said this. They pushed, that's not what it says, but I think that's what he meant. Ooh. They pushed the polar bear off the iceberg.
I think he does.
Pete Alonso,
I think he does a great job.
I do too.
Yeah, no.
And I've met him. You would never, ever put the voice with the guy. And he's actually from the state of Mississippi.
That's why I like him.
He's a tall guy too. He wears cowboy boots.
Yeehaw.
He's nice. He's a nice guy. And I think he does a great job.
I do too.
But if you're annoyed by his things, okay. Posey says, how many retired snowbirds are hockey coaches in Florida now? Things that make you go,
That could be a good point.
That's a good question.
Ooh, it is. So it's all the talented Canadians that moved here.
That's right.
And that's the reason that we flourished in hockey.
So what is Atlanta going to do to attract all these retirees so they stop in Georgia instead of Florida? Build up that new franchise.
Good point. Jimmy says, my Canadian friend sent me this jersey years ago. Keep on hating y'all. And it's an Oilers jersey. And that's a really cool jersey. I like the Oilers logo. He says, but yeah, nothing was getting past the Panthers goalie. Unreal team that they have. Pat, do you concur? Unreal team? Panthers?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Best hockey team you've ever seen.
Best hockey team I've seen in 2 years.
Could they beat
the
Reggie Bush-led USC?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me the 1980 gold medal team from Lake Placid.
Oh, that is sacrilege. Don't you even bring it up. How many Canadians were there on that team?
It's the best hockey team of all time.
On the American team?
Yeah.
I think that would be 0.
Exactly. Exactly. You made my point. More humid in Alabama or P-Town? Conrad?
Well, there's a different kind of musk in the air in P-Town, so I would say it's more humid here.
Okay. Brandon says, I've been to Canada a lot. Toronto feels like a mix of New York and Chicago. Vancouver is like Seattle or San Francisco. Montreal reminds me of Boston with a little New Orleans, but the infrastructure there is horrendous. Calgary's like Denver or Houston. Edmonton feels like Cleveland. Ottawa's kind of D.C., and Quebec City is like Savannah or Old San Juan. Overall, the cost of living in Canada is horrendous. What a breakdown by Brandon.
Wow. That was good.
That's very impressive.
So now we know never to go to Edmonton because it's Cleveland.
College World Series, Tom Hart should also be there instead of Carl Ravitch. Ravitch is horrible and doesn't know anything about college baseball.
Tom Hart is a very good baseball play-by-play.
Outstanding.
Very good.
He was on the Braves radio broadcast this past weekend. It was Ben Ingram somewhere else. Gavin says Ben Ingram is the GOAT for whoever had the trash take earlier. Yeah, I don't know who said that. But Ben Ingram is really good. Ben, and he actually listens to this station too. We love you, Ben. Let's go get number 2. I'm going to clap a lot today. Sorry.
I really hope y'all win the next couple of days so Barrett can come on here and y'all can just
right before we go to
be
Miami.
So excited.
Before we go to Miami and get
Yes.
swept by the Marlins.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way this season's gone. It's, they finally figured it out. No, they didn't. Keep the text rolling in 205-834-9450. We love you.
Water can find its way into your crawl space, bringing dangerous mold, mildew, and wood rot, but APS can protect your home's foundation, provide valuable storage space as well. The APS crawl space encapsulation system can stop that water, keep the pests out, while lowering your energy costs. Call them today at APS, 205-951-9717, or go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com. This is a locally owned company, the franchise. They're able to help you just by simply calling them at 205-951-9717, established in 1977 to solve the most challenging issues around your home. That's APS, alabamaprofessional.com. Our professional when it comes to Vegas handicapping, he joins us next. Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider. It is 1046. Jox, welcome back. Three-man front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. We're going to talk to Brian Edwards from Vegas Insider joining us momentarily, get his thoughts on the NBA playoffs and some win totals.
If you're looking for a pontoon boat this summer, look no further. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lakes is the only dealer on the lake to have the Avalon Pontoons. Avalon Pontoons, if you don't know, they're known for their luxury, comfort, and performance. You pair it with the most fuel-efficient engine on the water from our friends at Honda Marine. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake also has Tahoe Pontoons ready for family fun. Get it today with in-house financing. See it all at PoorhouseBranchMarina.com.
From MajorWager.com, Vegas Insider, our main man when it comes to Vegas odds and ends. It's our guy, Brian Edwards, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Brian, I hope you're well. I know the state of Florida is celebrating immensely this morning with the Florida Panthers winning the Stanley Cup last night, back-to-back years for that. So I appreciate you waking up after a very long night of celebrations. It's been a celebrations of things. The Florida Gators win the national championship in basketball. Now the Florida Panthers in hockey. I mean, what else are you guys on tap for winning this year?
Oh, come on, Pat. I'm closer to you guys than I am to Miami. It's a 10-hour drive, and I don't care about hockey. Come on. I don't claim that.
You did not play hockey. You did not play one shilling on the Stanley Cup? Not one?
Oh, no, I did take did take a couple of overs because my hockey buddy who's a big he's actually a Lightning fan, and he hates the Panthers. But a couple times I've seen him at the bar lately. He's like, man, these overs on the Stanley Cup. So I took it. I think I got two winners. And then last night, the first bet I made on it lost. And then the line moved to 6, and I pushed on that one. But it was a slight profit for me. I don't bet hockey, but my guy was just telling me over. Just trust me. And they were all flying over until last night. Last night hit 6. And the initial total was 6.5. So
Pat. What Brian just told us is with a little liquid encouragement, he will bet on anything. He doesn't bet on Major League Baseball, but a couple of drinks and he might fire in.
You know what? And I did. This was just last week because I was bored, or last weekend, I guess. But I heard one of the guys on VSiN made a very, very strong case for LSU and Arkansas to go under that first College World Series game the other day. I think the final was 3-1. I did under 9. And so I'm 1 for 1 in Omaha as well.
Look at you. And we got the national semifinals starting at 1 today.
I wasn't risking.
There wasn't much value, though, was there, on LSU or the Shanties to win it? Weren't they two, along with Arkansas, weren't that the top 3 odds?
Arkansas was number 1, I think.
Weren't they like plus 250 and plus 300?
Something like that.
There wasn't a whole lot of. It was very short odds on both of them.
All right, so I got to ask you about your zigzag theory. Last week, you educated our audience in regards to the way that you were betting the NBA Finals. Did that turn out all right, the way that you went? And what are you doing now with Oklahoma City on the verge of winning the whole thing?
Well, it really only applies to games 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 because they're at the same venue. Whereas 5, 6, and 7 they changed venue. But it worked perfectly because the Pacers covered game 1, and then I don't have off memory how the totals zigged or zagged, but on the sides, Pacers won and covered game 1, game 2, OKC won and covered, game 3, Pacers won and covered, and game 4, OKC won and covered. But that's out the window now. Okay, so we're looking at right now. So it was 5 early yesterday. For OKC, obviously favored in Game 6 tomorrow night. And then when the reports of Halliburton, whatever, having to go get an MRI and a strain, it moved and is now 6.5. And the total is down to 222. I believe it was 223.5 yesterday. I'm clicking this thing to make sure. Yeah, it was. It was 223 yesterday morning. Now it's down to 222. That's all based on Halliburton. I mean, maybe a little money leading it that way as well. And so I am. I'm on the sidelines until I know more. I think tomorrow we'll have a lot better idea. And until then, I don't have a play.
Our Vegas insider Brian Edwards joining us here on 3-Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Let's go college football because it's interesting. This is a team as far as over/under win totals. We discussed. I brought it up on the show and I asked the group, "What do you guys think?" I was kind of on the fence, but I was leaning over for Charles Huff and Southern Miss. Season win totals at 4.5. I feel a little bit vindicated. It's still got to happen, but that is also a play that you like as you look at some early college football over-under win totals.
Yes, correct. So for those unaware, all right, Southern Miss hired Huff, who at Marshall last year led them to a 10-3 record, and they also, of that 10-3 record, let me point out that two of the losses were at at Ohio State, and the other one was another one, I should say, was at Virginia Tech, and they covered in both of those games. And then the loss to a Sun Belt team, in their conference was at Georgia Southern by only 1 point. So they were a very good team last year. They went 10-3 straight up, 11-2 against the spread. We're talking about Marshall now, not Southern Miss. And they beat Louisiana by 28, 31-3 as a 5.5-point underdog in the Sun Belt title game. But I point that out because, what Marshall did, because Huff brought 21 transfers with him from that Marshall team, including the star quarterback, Braylon Braxton. So they went 1-11 last year, but they only brought back 11 lettermen. Huff also dipped into the portal, got 15 Power 4, transfers from Power 4 programs. He got 6 players from SEC schools. And you look at the schedule, and I think that I'm going to give them 4 W's I'm super duper confident in, all at home against what I believe are inferior teams. And looking at Athlon and Phil Steele and Athlon's predictions for the conference agree, and they get them all at home. And that's Troy, ULM, Jackson State, and App State. It's a total rebuild for App State, as they've been one of the top teams in the Sun Belt since they came up to FBS. But and then there's a lot of others where they can certainly win. They can win at Arkansas State. They can win at South Alabama. I think they'll probably lose at Georgia Southern and at Louisiana. Jacksonville State is a pretty much a total rebuild with Rich Rod leaving, and they get them at home. And heck, I mean, they're only a 12.5-point underdog to Mississippi State, which lost at home by a great margin to Toledo, a G5 team last year. So I think they get to at least 5.
That is Brian Edwards, senior handicapper, Vegas insider, also SEC analyst for at 16 Southeastern. Of course, Blake Lovell and those guys do a fantastic job on that website. Also, you can follow his work at majorwager.com. Next week, I want to get into this Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt situation with you. You've written a great piece about the Vanderbilt season upcoming. We'll get into that next week. Brian, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Sounds good, guys. Have
Thank
a
you.
great weekend as well.
Thanks. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Irish O'Fell war chant tells us not if, but how much Florida State and Gus Malzahn will beat Alabama by in week 1 and crush little Conrad's heart. He's next.
Welcome back. It's hour number 2, three-man front on this Wednesday. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. We hope to catch up with Irish Chaffel from warchant.com in just a couple minutes. Talk about the Florida State Seminoles as they get ready for the Alabama Crimson Tide in week 1. What's the ACC look like this year? It looks like everybody in the ACC is now playing friendly. No more lawsuits. So we'll talk to him about that. And just overall season outlook for the Florida State Seminoles with their new offensive coordinator. Very familiar name to these airwaves, Gus Malzahn. The SEC basketball has announced this morning the opponents in conference play for all SEC teams. The Auburn Tigers, they will play home and away series with Alabama, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. Home games down in the jungle will include Kentucky, LSU, South Carolina, Texas, Texas A&M, and Vandy. Auburn basketball will be on the road against Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. Meanwhile, Alabama, their home and away opponents will be Auburn, Mississippi State, and Tennessee. Home games, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mizzou, South Carolina, Texas, Texas A&M. Away games, they will have to go to Gainesville, Athens, Baton Rouge, Oxford, Norman, and Nashville. So the SEC released the whole basketball opponents this morning. Also yesterday, Brett McMurphy from the Action Network, he is reporting that at the commissioners' meetings in Asheville, North Carolina, that apparently they have decided to start over in determining the 2026 college football playoff format. So no other reporter has said or reported anything else that would back that claim up. But Brett McMurphy, as of last night, mentioned the fact that they were going to have a start over process with the commissioners.
Oh, it feels like we've come so far, but hey, if ultimately, I'll take a line from Brett Bielema and everybody else. Ultimately, guys, if it's the best thing for all of college football, then I'm good for it. I'm good with it.
It's very big of you to put this sport above yourself.
I'm trying.
We need more of that.
I'm taking steps.
We need more people to do that, right?
Yep.
That's the whole issue. So Brett McMurphy reported that last night. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But he is the only one right now that is out there with this story that they have decided to start over in determining what the format is going to look like in 2026. So we'll see. Meanwhile, Brett Bielema, he was at Wrigley Field last night. We played that audio for you last hour in regards to him singing the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field. He spoke to an Illini group prior to the game between the Cubs and the Brewers, and he did give a quote. He says, "We voted unanimously as Big Ten coaches to stay at 9 games and actually maybe have an SEC challenge. I was told that the SEC coaches voted unanimously to stay at 8 and not play the Big Ten. But then some people pop off and say what they want to say," end of quote. So whoever he's getting his information from in regards to the SEC voting the coaches unanimously to stay at 8, I have not heard that. So maybe Brett Bielema has better sources than everyone that covers the Southeastern Conference.
You think he's still talking to coaches in the SEC?
I'm trying to think who would be around that
I am too.
Would perhaps have a relationship with Brett Bielema. Anybody come to your mind?
No.
Did he have any type of relationship with Brian Kelly when he was at Notre Dame and he was? I don't know if they ever played each other.
Maybe he's getting his information from somebody who is also in the Big Ten. All right, just hear me out here. Guy that is familiar with Arkansas and Missouri and the SEC in Barry Odom. And maybe Barry Odom still talks to someone in the SEC. And he's getting like third or fourth hand information.
Possibly.
I like that theory.
Bet Barry appreciates me throwing him in there.
I'm sure he absolutely does. But yeah, it sounds like he took Brian Kelly's comment that he made at the spring meetings and just kind of maybe exaggerated it a little bit.
Embellished.
Embellished, yeah.
Lying is such a strong word. I like to use the term embellish.
Nah, he's a liar.
You do not like to use the term embellish. All college football coaches are embellishers.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. I've asked for a copyright on that. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, I want to do some purses and some throw pillows. And
Yes.
You should, yeah.
Get that on there. Yeah.
Yep.
You got to link up with Dion. He'll give you all the tricks of the trade on copyright games.
I love a good message, a good message pillow.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like change them out every month
Yeah.
or season?
Also a good message plate.
I was about to say, do y'all have one of those boards where you can, write out the happy phrases and
There's some
look at it?
There's
every
some
morning?
fun ones. There's one that says there's a plate that says get your own snack, and then it's followed by something else.
Don't
Yeah.
talk
That's
to
a
me
good
before
one.
I've had
Yeah.
my coffee.
There was a store down in 30A several years ago that I went into, and I was like, you know what, golly, these are great, these are funny, but I don't think you'd want to display them in your house.
Probably not.
Well, something that you will want to display in your house is anything that you get from Diamonds Direct, because they are not your typical jewelry store. They are a full-on experience. The second that you walk in, you're buzzed right through the front door like a VIP. They'll greet you with champagne or water, and they have this warm personal energy about them, like they've been expecting you. And there's even a selfie wall near the entrance if you want to take a picture with your new piece. I went in recently, and I was honestly blown away. The place is so sleek, and everything sparkles. And the team actually listens. I told them what I had in mind, and Sasha was able to show me pieces that match not just my budget, but my whole style as well. And I ended up falling in love with the bracelet that I got. It's simple, elegant, and it's so me. So go in and check out our friends at Diamonds Direct.
So the Elite 11 is going on out in California. Got underway yesterday. It's 20 of the top high school incoming seniors in which they go to California and they compete for the Elite 11 championship. 7 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the 247 class for 2026, they are on hand, including brand new Alabama commitment Jeff Tamala, who we told you about yesterday. He was a commitment for Iowa State from Omaha, Nebraska, the Nebraska Football Player of the Year. He decommits from Iowa State, commits to the University of Alabama. He was not listed as one of the top performers yesterday in day one of the Elite 11. This is what 247 wrote about the performance by Tamala. It says, Tamala made waves Tuesday morning when he flipped his pledge from Iowa State to Alabama and responded well after a shaky start in the opening workout. Tamala is one of the most physically impressive prospects in attendance and has started to fill out his 6'3" frame. And he's up to 205 pounds from his basketball season, playing weight of 185. So he played basketball at 185, and so he has already put on 20 pounds in the offseason. The new member of the Crimson Tide's recruiting class did his best work from the pocket and caught fire towards the end of the final drill circuit of the night. Tamala put together a run of throws attacking dig routes over the middle of the field, and we're up there with the top names in attendance by doing that drill.
First time I ever heard this kid's name was yesterday when you talked about the news and the announcement of the commitment. But it does seem like maybe because ESPN, they had him as a 3-star. But it seems like he would be one of those guys, late bloomer, kind of coming into his own, and not that, and it's no disrespect, but playing high school football in the state of Nebraska, he probably under the radar as opposed to some other states. So might end up being a really, really good find for Kalen DeBoer, but he's on everybody's radar now.
Don't forget about Keelan Russell, where he was last year.
Yeah.
3-star guy at
SMU.
And he commits to SMU. He goes to the Elite 11. He wins the Elite 11 MVP award last year. And then all of a sudden, he ends up being the top quarterback. Even some places had him above Bryce Underwood, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ended up at Michigan. So former Alabama winners of the Elite 11. I went back and did a little research.
Tua.
Oh, hang on. Let me guess. But Tua's one. Right?
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks out of high school that came to the University of Alabama as a quarterback that has won the prestigious Elite 11 MVP.
Can I guess one?
You can guess them all if you like.
Blake Barnett.
Yeah.
Blake Barnett is one of them.
Tua.
Tua is another one.
Bryce.
Bryce.
Yeah.
Bryce did not win.
Oh,
Really?
He got beat out by C.J. Stroud.
Oh, okay. Well. Fair.
All right, let's think more about a quarterback who didn't really play a whole lot at Alabama, but highly touted.
Did Brody Croyle win the Elite 11?
He did.
There we go.
In 2000, Brody Croyle was the first Alabama quarterback that won the Elite 11 MVP.
And then Keelan. Is that all 5?
No, you're missing one. Brody, Blake Barnett, Tua,
Coker,
Keelan Russell. You're missing one.
Sims,
Ooh, that's a good
McCarron,
guess. Cooper Bateman.
McElroy.
I'm trying to think because it wasn't Mac Jones because he was a 3-star guy. It wasn't Jalen Hurts. But it would have been recently. It would have been in the Nick Saban era, right?
It is in the Nick Saban era.
Who are we forgetting about that it would have been?
Star Jackson.
See, I thought Sims was a great guess. Who is it?
Julian Sayin.
Oh.
He doesn't count. He doesn't
He
count.
played at Alabama.
That was cheap.
He's a traitor.
Yeah, he is.
Doesn't count.
How many from Auburn has won the Elite 11?
What was his name? Sean White.
Yep.
Is there another one?
Sorta. It's Jackson Arnold.
Okay, so we're okay. Okay.
So yeah,
He counts way more than Julian saying. Jackson Arnold counts.
Yeah.
He's not a traitor.
Well, ask Oklahoma.
Well, we don't care about them. He's not a traitor to the state of Alabama.
No, he's not. No.
And the lead coach of the Elite 11 back in the day was UAB head coach Trent Dilfer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He was the head coach of the Elite 11. He was assisted by Jordan Palmer, George Whitfield Jr., and Charlie Fry. Were all part of the whole staff that put together the Elite 11. So I thought that was interesting. That I'm impressed that you remember Blake Barnett was a winner of the Elite 11. You know,
he was supposed to be the next big thing.
Yes, he was.
Tua won it in 2016. Sayin won it in 2023, and Keelan Russell won it last year. Apparently, the kid that is committed to the University of Houston, put on a show yesterday.
Yeah, they have a 5-star.
Put on a show yesterday.
Willie Fritz gonna get it done.
Yeah, but some of those names from the old days that one did not pan out.
I thought the Star Jackson was a good pull.
That was a good one.
See, and I just remember with Brody Croyle, right? And I get it was a different time, but I mean that was the dude.
Yeah.
And I mean
he was going to win 6 Heismans.
Yeah, and he was. I mean,
but I will tell you that
solid.
Obviously comes from a very famous family. His dad was an outstanding football player at Alabama, and obviously he's got some nephews that right now one plays for the University of Tennessee in basketball, and anyway, you start looking at these names.
Did Luke Altmaier ever participate at the Elite 11?
I'll have to double check that. I'm not really sure. But this was the 2000 Elite 11 performers against Brody Croyle. Derek Anderson.
Wow.
Cleveland Browns quarterback, baby.
Kellen Clemens.
Wow. Okay.
Nick Costa.
Don't remember him.
Billy Hart. Matt Leinart.
It's a good one.
Adrian McPherson, who played at Florida State. Kyle Orton, played at Purdue.
Yep.
DJ Shockley.
Oh, yeah.
At Georgia. Just some of the names that went up against Brody Croyle in 2000 at the Elite 11.
So Luke Altmaier, I was looking back. The 2020, he was a finalist along with some other guys that you guys don't know. But the Elite 11 that year was Tyler Buckner.
Yeah.
Wait, is this lacrosse Elite 11 or football?
This is football. Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Kyle McCord, Miller Moss, Garrett Nussmeier, Caden Salter,
Man.
Ty Thompson, Brock Vandegrift,
And also Caleb Williams.
and Caleb Williams. Yeah, there's that
Wow.
guy named Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty.
Who was
That's
the
a pretty
MVP?
good year.
He was the MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a surprise there.
Yeah. So we'll see how the Elite 11 works. Sometimes it works out, other times it doesn't. More three-man front on Jox. This is the Wednesday edition, three-man front. Welcome back to Three Man Front. We're on Jox across the state of Alabama. Thanks for tuning us in. Download the Jox 94.5 app, and you can watch the show on YouTube. You can take us along on those trips to the beach. You need to say something where your camera.
My mic wasn't on, Pat.
There you go.
It just looked really
There it
creepy,
is.
like you're waving at something in the corner that nobody could see off camera.
I see him every day.
It's his imaginary friend.
That's right. Oh yeah. he
You
was
took
sitting
his chair, so now he's got to stand over there.
No, he took my chair.
The stranger.
I hear you there, Goldilocks.
This is my chair.
This one feels just right.
It does.
So our Twitter poll question of the day has to do with trophies. As last night, Lord Stanley's Cup was raised in South Florida as the Florida Panthers win back-to-back Stanley Cup championships, Molly. So what's the question for today? I understand it's a very close competition.
It is very close, but the question is, what is the coolest looking trophy in sports? We gave you 4 options, but 3 trophies. We gave you the Lombardi Trophy, the Stanley Cup, the Heisman, or other, if you think it's a different trophy. And like Pat said, it has been close all morning, but right now, the Heisman Trophy is in the lead with 41.7, the Stanley Cup with 39.4, and it looks like other has about 9.7, and the Lombardi Trophy is in last with 9.1.
I voted Heisman. I think the Heisman Trophy is really cool.
I think it's the Stanley Cup. That's what I voted for.
Well, you're wrong.
No, you're wrong.
I also voted Stanley Cup simply because you can drink out of it. Any trophy that you can drink or eat something out of, yeah, that's bonus points.
You're not supposed to drink out of it. But.
Yeah, but you
Well,
can.
you do.
Yeah, that was.
But you can.
All of them do.
Just like when you win a Grammy, you can drink out of it. Pretty cool.
Just out of those, I would say Heisman. But if we had other options, I think the green jacket is amazing.
Yeah, if you count that as a trophy, that's
You're
great.
counting it as a trophy, right?
That's a great one.
I technically would not rule that as a trophy because the Masters, they give you something
trophy,
else.
yeah.
Okay. Nobody ever talks about it, but that's fine.
That's a cool one.
The other one would be the Venus Rosewater dish for the lady single champion at Wimbledon. It's great.
Did FSU Dave tell you to say that?
No, but it's something that if you wanted to put it in your house, you could use it as a charger. You could mount it on one of those plate brackets on the wall in the dining room. It'd stand out a little bit, but it might complete the room, right, Malls?
Yeah. And I know they don't use it anymore, but I like the old BCS trophy, the football.
The crystal ball?
Yeah, that one was cool.
That was good.
It was good.
It was a really good one.
That was a good. I love the World Series trophy, and I just like it because of the flags for all the teams. It's very...
The Commissioner's Trophy.
It's very cool.
Easy to break, though.
I would think so.
Yeah.
The World Cup is pretty cool.
That's a very good one.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. So you can go vote at the 3-Man Front Twitter page on the coolest looking trophy in all sports.
Gold Glove is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another good one. Silver Slugger.
Mm-hmm.
Another cool award. Did you guys happen to see what happened in the WNBA last night?
I missed it.
Oh, Landrum, this
I'm
would have
telling you
been
what.
best game you've ever watched.
It would have been. It's incredible.
Was there hair pulling?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People getting thrown to the ground. Oh yeah.
Did somebody's hair come out?
I'm sure there's a few strands out there on the court.
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking about like a big chunk.
No.
Okay.
So Caitlin Clark was being picked on again.
I'm so tired of this.
So she gets poked in the eye on a play, and then I forgot who it was, but just someone out of the blue, just like
clotheslined her.
No, like comes up and basically chest bumps her and knocks Caitlin Clark to the floor. And so her teammate, a little bit later in the game, decided that there was going to be a little bit of payback.
Retribution?
And this is on a breakaway.
Oh.
And she decides she didn't hide it. This wasn't like, okay, let me go for the ball.
Yeah.
This is her grabbing her by the back of the hair and literally like throwing her down. Oh, yeah.
I got to watch this.
Oh, it was great stuff. It's really funny how Major League Baseball will not police itself anymore, but the WNBA does. That's the part that I find so ironic. That you got a bunch of women that they take things in their own hands and they take care of business. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, everybody's too scared to do anything. It's ridiculous. But no, it was great TV, wasn't it, Molly?
Yeah. I watched the highlights this morning. It was fun.
I mean, you can't deny. I mean, it is must-see television when you got all this going on. That's not well. Just wait. You'll see when Caitlin Clark once again got picked on last night, and it's pretty funny. The number one draw of the league, and they will not protect her. It's pretty odd. But yeah, she got like poked in the eye. Then there was a little back and forth, but then the breakaway.
Yeah. That's awesome. She didn't even try to tackle her around the waist or the midsection. She went straight for I'm just going to take your head off.
Yeah, no, she looked like Chad Baker-Mazara out there. It was crazy.
That was wild.
So Sophie
I love immediately
Cunningham,
she's fixing her ponytail.
Sophie Cunningham is the person that brought down the other player. Sophie Cunningham, been in the news of late. She had denied a rumor before she was traded to the Indiana Fever that she was having an affair with the general manager of the Phoenix
owner.
Mercury.
The owner.
The owner?
The owner.
That was the owner.
Yeah, because he owns the Mercury and the Phoenix Suns.
Now, wait a second. The owner of the Phoenix Suns is the guy from Michigan State. It's not the owner. It's the GM.
Or it's the whatever, like the president of operations or something.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
the owner of the Suns used to play for Michigan State, and him and his brother are disgustingly rich. Yeah, I think it was the general manager.
He is the CEO of the Phoenix Suns.
Right. It's not the owner. Right. But yeah, Sophie Cunningham, she is a Missouri Tiger. She is an SEC girl.
Just means more.
That's right.
Let them claws out.
So, yeah.
Last night after it happened, she posted the picture of her kind of like shrugging on her story just with no context.
That's great. Like I said,
Sophie.
It's so sad that Major League Baseball used to. Now, I will tell you something that happened over the weekend this is the way it should happen. Now, there was no retribution at all against the Braves, right? That weekend.
No.
There was none.
No.
Okay. That's pansy. I mean, so like something should have happened there. So Wilson Contreras plays first base for us. And let's just say this is his first year ever playing first base. And watching him play first base is rather awkward at times because of his footwork. You know, when he catches something from across the diamond, you know, instead of him pulling off the bag and going inside the baseline, he sometimes will go to the back.
The catcher's mitt that he insists on wearing.
And so he runs into so there was a problem with the Brewers over the weekend, and Reese Hoskins in the dugout for the Brewers started mouthing off because there was a collision at first base, and it was Wilson Contreras' fault because
he was in the baseline.
That he did not, he caught it, it was out, but instead of him going forward, he goes back, and then the runner coming into first base, there's a collision. So I mean, there could have been serious damage. All right. So Hoskins is running his mouth over in the dugout. And so Contreras is like saying, come on out. Let's talk about
What's
this.
William doing at this time?
Well, he's behind home plate.
Yeah,
and
his brother.
He's just laughing. This is going to be interesting. What happens if we're
So Williams' teammate is about to fight Williams' brother.
Well, Hoskins is not coming out. Hoskins, if you remember him from the Phillies, he's going to run his mouth.
Pud.
He ain't going to do nothing. So anyway, so guess what happens? So Wilson Contreras comes up to bat, and Quintana, pitching for the Brewers, nails Contreras in the back. So Contreras smiles, picks the baseball up, runs out, and hands the ball back to Quintana, and they pat each other on the back, and he runs to first base because that's the way baseball used to have those unwritten rules. And Contreras knew that he was going to get nailed because of what happened at first base. Like, you don't see that happen anymore because people are scared to do anything.
Phillies.
But yeah, he took care of business. Contreras knew it. The Cardinals didn't say a word. They knew it was coming.
And Contreras doing that was, hey, this is settled.
Yeah,
we're
it's
good.
over with.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's play ball.
Patted him on the back.
Yeah.
He handed the baseball back to Quintana, and Quintana kind of smiled. Are you watching it, Molly? Oh, I thought you were laughing.
She's taking a nap.
Oh, I didn't know what she was doing. But yeah.
That's the way it should be.
But see, in the WNBA, they're taking care of business. But listening to the announcers last night in that particular situation that took place in that game, there was heavy criticism of the officiating, of them not taking care, not protecting Caitlin Clark, but they could have sent a message at the very beginning of the game, and then that would not have taken place if they would have taken care of business.
Sophie Cunningham didn't even, she respected the ponytail. She didn't even go for the ponytail. She went for the headlock, double headlock in action. But I loved her trash talk. It continued as she was continuing to try to just grab the head of, who was the other player?
I can't remember her name, but yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, and Caitlin Clark, I mean, she was talking that trash after that, too. She was letting them have it because she's been incredible.
With that
this year
eye.
since being healthy, yeah.
That droopy, draining eye after she'd been poked. And I'm so tired of this. When do I get my jersey?
Soon.
Might be a while. They're actually really good now, so it might be on back order for a while. Amazing what happens when you get the best player in college basketball. Turn things around.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll talk to our good friend Bill Bender from the Sporting News. We'll get his thoughts on the top 25 for the preseason in college football. Your text as well at 205-834-9450. Are about 73 days away, and a lot of Alabama fans will be hearing that in Doak Campbell Stadium as the Florida State Seminoles welcome the Alabama Crimson Tide down to Tallahassee, Florida. Should be a very big game. And joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, he just had a little breaking news on warchant.com. That's why Ira's a little bit tardy joining us. But yes, breaking news happens in this business. Ira Schafel joins us from Warchant. Ira, I hope you're well, and things just never slow down when you're covering college sports, does it?
No, certainly Not these days, but no, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Ira, before we start talking about this year's Florida State Seminoles and some ACC and Alabama coming down to Tallahassee, you did have some breaking news at warchant.com, and it has to do with the House settlement and Florida State kind of clearing the decks, so to speak, in regards to what they want to do moving forward and how much they're going to be able to give back to their student athletes.
Yeah, I think, FSU was determined, as all schools that want to compete nationally, they were determined to fully fund the revenue sharing, which is going to be $20.5 million this year. They just didn't know exactly how they were going to do it because this is not new money. They've just got to find the money from the revenue they already got in. And what they did was they asked the State Board of Governors to allow them to start using some other money from the university, not in the athletics department, to kind of cover these costs in the next 2 or 3 years, because in the past, Florida State public universities could not use money from the university in athletics. They're supposed to be self-sustaining. So they kind of had to ask for an amendment to do this for the next 3 years to kind of get by. If they didn't get it, they would have to, maybe cut costs from other areas or find more donors to donate that money. And instead, the Board of Governors gave them the green light to do it. So now they know they'll be able to give the $20.5 million to athletes, which we all know is going to be huge in recruiting going forward.
Ira, when it comes to the 2025 college football season, the expectations for Florida State, they're certainly going to be high again. One of the historically bad seasons last year, 2-10. You get two new coordinators. One we're very familiar with, in Gus Malzahn. When the announcement was made, when Gus Malzahn was named the new OC there in Tallahassee, how much excitement was generated from the fan base and from your subscribers?
I think it was pretty mixed. I think there are some people were just really happy that Mike Norvell decided to go ahead and turn the offense over to somebody else and take more of a CEO role. I think people felt like last year he kind of got caught in the weeds, that everything was going wrong with the team and the offense was a big part of it, but it felt like it was overwhelming at times. And so I think people were excited to see him bring in an offensive coordinator that will have control of the offense. The fact that it was Gus Malzahn, there was mixed results. I think some people are excited about the idea of going back to a running game and a power running game and bringing in a mobile quarterback, which they ended up doing with Tommy Castellanos. And I think some people realize that that's the best way to move the ball right now, as Florida State still doesn't have probably the elite talent that they need. On the flip side, there are some people who feel like, Gus Malzahn's offense's best days are probably in the rear view. His initial offenses at UCF looked pretty good. The last couple of years, not quite as good. And so, the bloom's off the rose a little bit. So I would say it's mixed, but overall, I think pleased that he's giving over the control of the offense.
When there's a season that goes as bad as it did last year, Ira, I know there were multiple things that happened that caused them to lose 10 games, but if there was a couple that you could put your finger on and point to, what would those be?
I think the biggest ones were the decision about how they approached the transfer portal last year. If you go back to the success Mike Norvell had the transfer portal the first 2 years that he really did well, 2022 and 2023, he went for a lot of players who maybe had been successful at smaller schools or maybe had, were looking for better opportunities, but at least been productive on the college level. You think back to, Braden Fisk, who they brought in, and Jared Verse from smaller schools, Western Michigan and Albany, even Jermaine Johnson, who had been at Georgia, came in as a big-time defensive end. Johnny Wilson, a receiver from Arizona State, who had some success but had some injury issues, and they kind of hit it big with those types of players. What they did last year was he went after marquee guys that were big-time recruits out of high school, but really hadn't done much on the college level. You guys are familiar, obviously, with Malik Benson, wide receiver who they brought in. They also brought in Marvin Jones Jr. from Georgia, defensive end, who was a 5-star recruit. Earl Little, who came in from Alabama, big-time recruit, but hadn't done much at Alabama. And so that was kind of the approach, was let's get these marquee guys that we couldn't get out of high school, and now we'll give them a chance to turn it loose here at Florida State. And very few of them panned out. In fact, almost none of them panned out. And most of them aren't even at Florida State anymore. So, this year in the transfer portal, they went heavier after production. They went after guys who maybe from Western Kentucky or UCF or other schools that have had success and have proven themselves, Wake Forest, Vanderbilt, schools like that, and now seeing if that recipe kind of goes back and works out. The other biggest thing was they really thought the signing of DJ Uiagalelei, a quarterback, would work because they thought they'd really be able to run the football. They ended up not being able to run the football. The offensive line completely was just a total failure, which led to the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator being fired and other position coaches. But without a running game, DJ Uiagalelei was just a disaster at quarterback, and then he ended up getting hurt. So I think those were the two biggest things.
What is the expectation? Because expectations can change. We know that here in this state, but you're coming off of a historically good season. Then you go 2-10 last season if you're Mike Norvell. Has it changed? Is it college football playoff? Is it contending for an ACC championship? Is it merely going 8-4?
I think that 8-4 is the number that a lot of us have come up with in the media and probably some of the fan base is kind of what's possible. What's the highest level that's possible? And I think 8-4, 9-3 seems not outlandish because they have overhauled the roster. They did make all these changes on the coaching staff. And you look at the schedule, there's two pretty sure wins in East Texas A&M and Kent State. So really you're just asking, can you go 6-4 in the other games? And, and I think that's certainly realistic. Is that enough for the fan base? I mean, probably not. I mean, fans are still going to want to be in the playoff. They're still going to want to win the ACC, and they're not going to be as understanding. But I think at the end of the day, that's probably what you could ask for. They have 4 games that are going to be really tough to win. Alabama, Clemson on the road, Miami on the road, Miami at home, and then Florida on the road. So if you lose all 4 of those to go 8-4, that's not going to feel like a great season. But I feel like you could at least justify moving back in the right direction. But, the fan base, they always want to be in the playoff. I think realistically, 8-4, 9-3 is probably as good as they could hope for.
Okay, so let's just play this out. If he goes underneath that number, I know the buyout is pretty hefty, like most of the top college football coaches in the business. Where is the line of demarcation, in your opinion, Ira, in regards to his longevity if he only goes 6-6 this year? Are you talking about a potential regime change, or you give him another year or two?
They'd have a real tough question to ask at that point. I think 7-5, maybe you could justify it, especially if those games are close. I think optics play a big part. If Alabama comes in here, they're unveiling their whole new stadium that they've been renovating for the last 2 years. This is kind of an Alabama team that probably isn't perceived as the same standard that Nick Saban had it rolling. So it doesn't feel like a game you should just get blown out in. If that happens and then you lose 5 games, I think it's going to be tough. But maybe they can figure out a way because the buyout is so big. It'll still be over $50 million at the end of next season. If it's 6-6, I don't know, man. I think that is the bridge too far to cross because I don't know how you're going to sell tickets the coming season. I don't know how you're going to recruit the coming season. You've already switched out all those assistant coaches, basically, and both new coordinators. If you still can't go better than 4-6 in your real games, I think they're going to have to make a move. But again, it's easier for me to say. I don't have to come up with the $50 million.
Ira Schoffel joins us from warchant.com. He joins us on the Higginbotham hotline. So let me ask you to handicap the rest of the ACC. Last year, SMU was not a preseason top 25 team, on the cusp of the top 25, but not technically in the top 25. They make it to the college football playoff. We all anticipate Clemson. You mentioned Miami. What other teams should we be eyeing from the Atlantic Coast Conference this year, potentially for his CFP bid?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are really good ones. I think NC State the last few years has kind of been a perennial contender. Haven't really gotten over the hump, and then last year was pretty disappointing for them. But I think they've done some good things in the transfer portal. There's some interesting transfer portal additions around the conference. I think you have to pay attention, I think, to some degree to what, Georgia Tech did last year. They didn't finish with a great record, but beating Miami, beating Florida State, I think Brent Key's done a good job there. So I think there's going to be a good group of teams in that second tier. But yeah, I mean, it's Miami and SMU, I think, are the two right below Clemson. Clemson is easily the odds-on favorite, and I think that's going to be a tall task for anybody to knock them off. But Miami and SMU are probably right in that next tier, followed by FSU and this other group of schools.
Ira, on a personal note, I'm a Braves fan. I know you're a big Orioles fan. I feel your pain. I just wanted to leave you with that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I know it's a newer experience for you than it is for the O's, but I do appreciate it. Hey, Charlie Morton may have turned things around, so I feel a little bit better about that.
Yeah, me and Charlie Morton are actually the same age. No, I think I'm about 4 years older. But
Ira, always great to catch up. I'm sure I'll bother you again right before we get ready for kickoff between Alabama and Florida State. I know you're traveling this morning. Always appreciate you carving out a couple of minutes for us to talk a little college football. Best to you.
Thanks, Ira.
You too. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thanks. That's Ira Schafel joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Enjoy getting out in the yard with the family and the friends this time of year when it's not raining, at least. Well, our friends at Stark Exterminators, they want to make sure that you have the most enjoyable experience there in your backyard and around your home, inside the home too. You don't want the creepy crawlies, the stinging, the insect bites that make you itch like crazy, scratch your skin off. Well, Stark Exterminators are going to take care of you. They're going to take care of your family. They're going to take care of your business. They've been family owned for over 61 years, and one of their professional and courteous team members will come out to your home or place of business, inspect it thoroughly inside and out. They're going to address any current issues that you have, take care of that. And you're going to have peace of mind because they're going to go and they're going to look for any additional issues that could arise down the road. Stark Exterminator is going to use the most environmentally friendly, effective solutions that are available. Call today for the free home or business pest inspection. It's 855-START-NOW or go to starkexterminators.com. 855-START-NOW or starkexterminators.com and take advantage while June is home ownership month. You can take advantage of all kinds of different things that they have, but the free home or business pest inspection is what you should do. 855-START-NOW or starkexterminators.com, and make sure you tell our friends at Stark that Landrum from Jox sent you.
Great conversation with Ira Schafel. Top of the hour, we'll talk to Bill Bender from the Sporting News. This is Jox. This is Three Man Front. 10 minutes in front of the hour, we will talk to Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He's got an interesting article out in regards to college football rivalries. Ohio State and Michigan, according to the Sporting News, is the number one rivalry in college football. Alabama-Auburn comes in at number 2. This is what they wrote about the fact that it's the number 2 rivalry. It is the best in-state rivalry in college football, Conrad, and it is ranked number 2 on our list, even more than Ohio State and Michigan. This one likely would be met with more resistance if it were changed in any fashion, talking about if the game went away. The SEC still has a traditional 8-game schedule, and moving the Iron Bowl does not make sense in the current landscape, especially with Kalen DeBoer and Hugh Freeze starting a new chapter in 2024. The rivalry needs that. Alabama has won 8 of the last 10 meetings, and Auburn has not won in Tuscaloosa since 2010.
Yeah, I mean, I could see from a recency bias standpoint where maybe that would fall behind Michigan and Ohio State. But the fact that it is an in-state rivalry, I think that is the ultimate decider. I think those two are clearly the top 2 in the sport. But when you have it in-state and you have to be around those people 365 days a year, I think that clearly puts it at the top for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the passion held by the fans on both sides.
And the fact that Army-Navy's number 3.
It's another very good one.
List. So,
are there a lot of house-divided license plates in Ohio or Michigan, you think? I don't think so.
No.
Probably in northern Ohio, probably.
Yeah,
or southern Michigan.
Has a tree been poisoned?
Yeah. They don't take it that seriously.
No.
Dang.
Yeah, Pat.
They just have Connor Stallions.
Oh, I always blame Pat.
Well, of anybody on the show that could be blamed, Pat would be the closest.
No, that is true. He is.
Yeah, so
he did allow him a platform and a microphone. Didn't have to, but he did.
I mean, a lot of people know how to dial the digits to the show, and he did so that day. He also came by the studio a couple times.
Yeah. Couple of lunches.
No.
One round of golf. And
pay for his legal fees, no big deal.
A couple nights at the place down the road.
And a trip to the garden supply store. That was it.
A trip to the gardens.
Not making light. That was horrible what happened to those trees. But making light of Pat. And tongue-in-cheek. But people have trouble with tongue-in-cheek, apparently, today. 205-834-9450. The Jox text line is open, speaking of that. And our buddy FSU Dave chimes in and says, Landrum, the trophy that the players get after winning Wimbledon is actually small compared to the one they hold up on center court. That one stays there. You're talking about the platter?
That's disappointing.
It's a platter.
It is. It's a nice platter.
What would say I expect to win another one more than hosting a dinner party and serving finger foods and hors d'oeuvres on that platter?
You just got that right in your china cabinet. It's the centerpiece.
Is this the one that I'm using? Oh, yeah. I won that a couple of years ago. Who's the better SEC quarterback, guys? Austin Simmons or Zach Calzada?
I go Simmons.
Oh, that's not even.
Zach Calzada beat Alabama.
Yeah, that is fair.
That's what we judge everything by, Conrad.
That's right. Yep.
Going back to Elite 11 former Alabama quarterbacks that participated. Blake Barnett. Posey guessed Sane. Yes. Eli Holstein. Was he a part of that?
Yes, he was.
Mike and Huntsville chimed in Star Jackson.
I mean, I was giving you who won.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They've had a bunch of guys.
There was a lot of guys that participated, like Bryce Young. Bryce Young participated, but he did not win. He was not good enough.
Fat Joe asking, did I call Molly Goldilocks? Yes, because she was talking about the chair. She has blonde hair, and I was going back to the story of the 3 bears.
Listen, I like my chair.
Yeah, you got all defensive about it.
I did.
Is it the ergonomics? Dean says the Wanamaker Trophy is pretty cool just because it's so big.
Bigger is better.
All right. Our buddy Bill Bender, we're going to take him to task on the best rivalry in college football, and he doesn't think, or they don't think, it's the Iron Bowl. 3-man front on Jox continues.
It is 12 noon. Welcome back in. It's three-man front. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show right here on Jox. Thanks for listening to us across the great state of Alabama. A lot of college football talk this morning, along with what's happening in Omaha, Nebraska, as there will be an SEC team playing for the national championship. It will either be LSU or Arkansas. They are playing again tonight. Now, Arkansas would have to beat LSU twice to get to the championship round in Omaha, but that is going to start tonight at 6 o'clock. Coastal Carolina and Louisville, that is at 1 o'clock. We also talked to Irish Chaffel just a few moments ago from warchant.com as they'll be hosting the Alabama Crimson Tide in week 1 down at Doak Campbell Stadium for Florida State. We are not too far away from the college football season kicking off, and we continue our preview of what potentially is going to happen in the 2025 season. And joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, outstanding writer for the Sporting News, covers college football. Bill Bender joins us here on Three Man Front. Bill, I hope the spring and summer has gone so far so good.
We've had about a week of summer in Ohio. It rained all the way into June, so we'll get a couple weeks here. But as you said, media days are coming. I mean, July 8th, July 9th, we got Big 12 Media Day, and we'll be right into it. And before you know it, that kickoff will be here.
Oh, no, there's no question. We're counting down the days now. We're at 33, and we'll be in Atlanta for SEC meetings that will go on for 4 days as the 16 teams of the SEC get together. So I just want to, as we try to put the House settlement to bed, we're trying to get grasp of this new world of college football. As far as the Big Ten and the Upper Midwest and those schools go, does it seem like everybody is embracing this new change in the new world of NIL and transfer portal?
You know, I don't think the casual fan cares that much. I think they recognize that athletes are being paid. I think they just don't want it to impact the product on the field. And you and I, we can get into it whether we believe it will. You know, for me, I think some of it will be who can keep up, who can handle that $21 million, then NIL on top of it, and make the right investments to make a good football team. You know, I know Ohio State took a lot of flack last year for, you know, that $34 million tag, but I would argue that the investment paid off with the exception of 3 hours against Michigan, which they still talk about around here. But it is part of the game, and I'm going to be interested to see what schools inside and outside the SEC and Big Ten can handle that.
What format would you recommend for college football moving forward when it comes to deciding a college football playoff field?
Oh, I've been consistent in telling what I want. If we go to 16, which I think is going to happen, let's just take the top 16 teams in the rankings at the end of the season. We don't even need to play conference championships, in my opinion. You can take the top 16, play them, first 2 rounds on campus, then semifinals can be at the locations like the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl, and then you play a championship game. And let's play the game before the AFC championship and NFC championship.
That's a good idea.
Let's compress the gap. We have to, guys. And I tell this story all the time. Last year at Notre Dame, Ohio State, I was down in Atlanta. I was having breakfast the morning of the game, looking at the TV, ESPN, and what are they talking about, guys? Ravens Bills, NFC title game. And yet Notre Dame and Ohio State, 2 of the biggest brands in the championship game. So I do think we need to compress the calendar a little bit, and I'd go to 16. And I don't need automatic qualifiers either. I think this is a big hang-up that the SEC and the Big Ten will get 60% of the teams in the field anyway.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And one thing that we do talk about on this show every single day, which is college football, and that debate, whether it's the automatic qualifiers or it's the 5-11 model that all of a sudden the SEC started embracing during SEC spring meetings in Destin a couple weeks ago. It's a fact of the matter that the ACC and the Big 12 are not going to go quietly in the night. The people that you talk to around college football, Bill, do you get the sense that there is going to be enough pushback against the Big 10 and the SEC that ultimately that automatic qualifiers is going to go out the window?
Well, I think the ACC, the Big 12, and the Group of 5 are doing the best to protect their piece of this puzzle. The ACC got 2 teams last year, and I've also been consistent in this message. Do I think Alabama would have beat SMU last year? Yes. Did they play a tougher schedule? Yes. But once you got to that 3rd loss and SMU was, played in the conference championship game, I didn't have a problem with the committee taking SMU over Alabama at that point. And this is one of the sticking points with the argument with the SEC, in my opinion. You guys may feel different. when you have 9 or 10 teams in the preseason top 25, and you have to play at the places that the SEC schools do, I do think they have the toughest schedules, but I still think you've got to leave room that, I mean, are we really going to forgive Alabama for going down to Oklahoma and they laid an egg that night? And I think that's what cost them the playoff more than anything.
Bill Bender, Sporting News, joining us here on Three Man Front, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Of that college football playoff field last year, Bill, which one of those teams will be the most improved in 2025?
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of the same, right? Like Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Notre Dame, they feel like teams that will get right back there. Penn State, another team that, you know, they've got everybody coming back.
How much better will a Clemson be? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's a better question for me to answer, I think, because I'm trying to figure out who will be the most improved. Everybody will be good. It's a huge opportunity for Clemson. 5 guys back from the top 50 on our top 50 big board, top quarterback in Cade Klubnik. But I'll say this, they're not, to me, I'm not perceiving them against the ACC. Who did they lose to last year? 3 SEC teams. So if they lose to LSU in the opener, it will be an indictment on the ACC. It will be an indictment on Clemson because they're at home. I actually think that's the most impactful week 1 game as a result.
Bill, in regards to the Sporting News top 25, we're looking at all these preseason rankings, and you've got Texas number 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3, Georgia 4. Bama comes in at number 8, LSU 9. But I want to ask you, believe it or not, I know we're deep in SEC country, but someone that we're very familiar with, and he seems to be having a lot of fun in this offseason, kind of verbally sparring with SEC folks, and that is Illinois head coach Brett Bielema. You've got the Fighting Illini. I'm not saying you, but your publication, the Sporting News, has Illinois at number 10. Is the line of thinking there that Illinois could be this year's Indiana? Is that kind of the line of thinking in regards to that?
Yeah, and I always kind of smirk at the perception of Brett Bielema, given that he wasn't really great at Arkansas, and he comes up to the Big Ten. He knows how to win up here. And Illinois has a lot coming back. Luke Altmaier's a third-year starter, and a lot of it has to do with the schedule. Ohio State's the only team in our post-spring top 25 that is ranked that is on Illinois' schedule. So, yes, Brett Bielema's having a lot of fun. By the way, that bowl game against South Carolina, the back and forth with Beamer, wasn't that incredible?
Oh, we loved it. Are you kidding me? That was fantastic.
Yeah. For a run-of-the-mill bowl game, it was amazing. And now the caution in that is we do this every year in the Big Ten where we kind of try to find that school, and a lot of the times it doesn't work out. But I think Illinois is going to be worth the hype, especially if they can get through that game against Indiana in September.
Bill, how much pressure is on Mario Cristobal and Miami this year to get to a college football playoff?
I think enough, because you know what? This is an interesting fact to me. I remember where I was when Miami played Florida State when they came into the ACC. And if you would have told me that moment, that Labor Day, it was way back in like 2004 or 5, they have not won the ACC yet. Isn't that amazing for a program that we grew up with that was dominant program? So I think there is a little bit of pressure on him. I probably think there's more pressure on Carson Beck making the move from Georgia, going down there and with the pressure to ball out. And who do they play in week 1? Notre Dame. I mean, it doesn't get much larger than that. So, yeah, there's a ton of pressure. I think for Miami, not so much to win the ACC, but maybe, be that second team in the ACC to get to the playoff. That would be something that they should definitely be shooting for.
Bill, I understand just a couple of days ago you had an opportunity to catch up with Peyton Manning. You'll be having a story there at the Sporting News in regards to Peyton Manning. And I was just curious because someone that we obviously remember his days at the University of Tennessee, did not win the Heisman Trophy. That's for another debate on who he lost to. But I'm just curious, in your conversations with Peyton, without giving away your whole article upcoming at the Sporting News, just your thoughts on him and what he's thinking now with a famous nephew, the starting quarterback at Texas, and what he thinks about college football in its current state.
Yeah, I'm wrapping that article up about that nephew. And, obviously Peyton didn't he was guarded in his answers about Arch and protective. But I think the thing here, the theme is the patience. Arch waited 2 years. people forget, you guys don't, of course, that Peyton played 4 years in college. Eli played 5. And it's almost unheard of to have that kind of patience, but that family has displayed that. And I think Peyton talked about that a little bit and why he believes Arch will have success and the continuity with the coordinators and Sark at Texas. And number 2, he was talking about his TV show, The Mega Brands That Build America. I am a History Channel nerd, so it was a fun
I am too.
conversation.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
The show's great. And, Peyton talked about that a little bit, his role with that. So for me, as somebody that grew up in the 90s, it was a awesome conversation. And, he really is, as you can imagine, one of those, he is relatable. And I think that's why he works in all these TV roles.
Bill, when it comes to the season, if we're going to rank and when seasons end, when that day comes, Power 4 conferences and top to bottom and the strength of the conferences, who is going to be that number one conference? Will it be the Big Ten, the SEC, or you got somebody else?
How many times are you going to make this Big Ten guy say SEC? I mean,
Well, we clip that, Bill, and we send it out to all the radio stations up in the Big Ten.
Yep.
So, just trying to help you out.
Yeah, don't get me in trouble up here, man. No, I do think it'll be the SEC because, and I think I said it earlier, the quality of the competitive depth. When you start the season with 10 ranked teams. Now, I'll say this, the 8 games to watch with the SEC this year are those non-conference games against other ranked teams. I'm talking Oklahoma, Michigan, week 2. Ohio State, Texas up here, week 1. You got Notre Dame playing Arkansas and Texas A&M. And so Clemson, LSU, those are the games that I think we're going to judge the conference by, given that we've talked all this strength of schedule metrics. South Carolina Clemson is going to be a really big game this year at the end of the year. So if the SEC does really well in those games, that will kind of be the gauge for me that, yeah, the conference is tough. Guys, you just have so many tough road environments there. There's no weeks off, and I don't think that's going to change this year. You look at who made Florida's schedule, by the way? 7 ranked teams. It's ridiculous.
No, it's bad. Before we let you go, Bill, I have to ask you about something that you guys at Sporting News put out in regards to the biggest rivalries in regards to college football. And Ohio State and Michigan is number 1. We kind of take umbrage to it down here because we believe the Iron Bowl is the greatest rivalry in college football. But I am curious, how close in regards to those conversations at the Sporting News was the Iron Bowl eclipsing the number 1 rivalry in you guys' opinion in regards to Ohio State and Michigan?
Well, I grew up in Central Ohio, so I don't think there's going to be a point in time in my life where I'm going to say that something's bigger than Ohio State, Michigan, much like you guys would say the same about Auburn, Alabama. I think the one thing Michigan, Ohio State has had in its advantage in the last couple of years is the storylines, Connor Stallions, the sign stealing, just the hatred that's flared up. Now, Auburn, Alabama has had some really great finishes. There's no question, but I think it's, Alabama's been in the lead in that rivalry. And what's made Ohio State, Michigan so compelling is Michigan finally took that lead from Ohio State the last couple of years. So those are elite rivalries, just like Texas and Oklahoma is, and some others. But that's the special part about college football, and some of them have been impacted. We're talking about Notre Dame, USC not being played anymore. And for somebody that went to a Catholic school, that just doesn't sit well with me. I can't imagine a world where Notre Dame and USC won't play, but I said the same thing about Oklahoma and Oklahoma State a few years ago.
Bill, can we expect to see you at SEC Media Days since we're now anointing you Mr. SEC?
Yeah, you can give me like a big it means more T-shirt.
Oh man, absolutely.
See how it goes.
We will hook you up. We know a couple people. We'll make sure that the commissioner's office, which is a rock's throw from our studio, that they will have the Bill Bender welcoming party ready to go.
We'll get you a lapel, everything.
Yeah, it'll be good stuff.
Embroidered towels.
Good. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, guys. This was a great conversation.
Hey, Bill, always a pleasure. We can't wait for the season to kick off. Great work there at the Sporting News. I hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
Thanks. That's Bill Bender joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
It was playful, but you could tell the Big Ten SEC alliance.
It made him awkward. It was awkward.
Well, but there was an alliance there. You could tell.
Yeah.
There was a chemistry.
There's no doubt. Talking about chemistry, it's very important when you're in the market for a new vehicle and you have that chemistry. That's where Courtesy GMC and Trustful comes in. The Courtesy GMC Summer Sales Event is going on right now as we speak, off of I-459, exit 32. Real easy to get to. It's quick to get to, right off of I-459. Right now in Trustful, you can get off to $15,000 off a luxurious Sierra Denali Ultimate, or you could save up to $11,000 off on the rugged AT4X, and they've got plenty to choose from. I was by there over the weekend, and the selection and the inventory will just be absolutely blow you away. Largest selection in Birmingham. Plus, they've got over 30 certified pre-owned vehicles on the ground, priced to move right now. Wonderful people there dealing with every single day. And I'm talking about Drew Lawley, Josh Gargis, and the fantastic team Tommy Rowan over the internet. The sales side, not to mention you got the service department. I had the oil change. I got 4 new tires for my wife's car there at Courtesy GMC. They can do it all for you. Go by and see what I'm talking about. Tell you about them every single day. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
Lots of takeaways from what Bill Bender just told us. We'll do it next. 3-Man Front on Jox.
What a great conversation with Bill Bender of the Sporting News. So I'm sitting here looking at the Sporting News top 25, Landrum, and Illinois at number 10. I'm still having a very hard time digesting that. And maybe I'm having a hard time digesting it because I just can't take a head coach seriously when you step behind the microphone at Wrigley Field and you perform this last night between the Cubs and the Brewers.
Brewer fans, sit down. Cub fans, let me
He's
hear
got a
you.
good voice.
A 1, a 2, a 3.
Luke Altmaier? Yeah, it's a great voice.
Take me out to the ball game.
That was a little flat.
Me out to the crowd.
That's Luke Altmaier.
Yeah, but it's a playful laugh.
Buy me
There's
some
Brett.
Peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back.
Slightly harmonized.
Root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame. 'Cause there's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs. ILL, INI.
You think they drank a Budweiser together, but Brett was like, "Hey, let's put that in a cup. Let's loosen you up before we go into the press box and we lead everyone into the 7th inning stretch."
So Brett Bielema was there at Wrigley Field last night speaking to a Fighting Illini alumni group. And then he had an opportunity to meet with members of the media. And he told the media, we voted unanimously as Big Ten coaches to stay at 9 conference games and actually maybe have an SEC challenge. I was told that the SEC coaches voted unanimously to stay at 8 and not play the Big Ten. But then some people pop off and say what they want to say. End of quote. Don't know where he's getting that information.
Hey, Alabama's way ahead of this. They're already playing they've already got their Big Ten SEC challenge this year. Had it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So when will someone ask him the question, okay, Brett, so hypothetically, what would your record have been in the SEC if you had played a 9-game conference schedule every year?
Instead of 11 and 29?
Yeah, what would your record have been?
It's a good question.
No
How many
one's
years
gonna
was
do
he
it.
in the? I was trying to think. How many years was he in the SEC if he played?
He was 11 and 29.
So that's 40.
That's 5 years.
Yeah. So that would be 5 more losses. So he'd have been 11 and 34 as opposed to 11 and 29.
He has fared much better as a Big Ten coach than he did in the SEC.
Absolutely.
Now, listen, we're all about – I love it. I love the back and forth between him and Beamer during that football game.
And all kidding aside, what he's done at Illinois has been impressive.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been good. But, I mean, to call them a top 10 program for this
let's,
year?
Let's not go there. We're not talking
Let's
basketball.
pump the brakes a little bit on that, shall we?
Some years.
It was interesting. He went on to give an interview to Adam Rittenberg, a frequent contributor on this radio program. And he was talking about some of the playful shots that him and some of the SEC on social media, how he's had these back and forth. And he said his wife had told him to slow my roll. So basically his wife was telling him to kind of take it easy on your back and forth with the SEC.
Interesting that he used that terminology because he
Slow my
actually
roll.
met her at a craps table.
Sure did.
If I was him, I would do whatever she said.
We wouldn't be married if I'd stopped rolling that night.
We wouldn't be married if I wasn't a millionaire.
Well, Conrad.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's with him for something else.
She's not shallow.
Mm-hmm.
They share a lot of common interest.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they do.
Nice things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure he does buy her a lot of nice things.
Your chance to own that dream home at the lake is here. Coming up this Saturday, June the 21st, the grand opening of the Cottages at Smith Lake, located on one of America's cleanest, most pristine lakes. The Cottages at Smith Lake is the area's first and only tiny home community. I had a chance to stay in a custom tiny home just a few years ago and through something with this radio station, and you would be blown away if you have not explored some of the custom tiny homes that are out there. I could do it. I don't know if my wife could do it, but I absolutely could do it. You got to check it out. 50 acres of woodland on peaceful, quiet Smith Lake, surrounded by the Bankhead National Forest. 120 home sites to choose from. Beautiful lake views, your choice of custom cottages from 6 unique models. And it's beautifully planned, the cottages at Smith is, with amenities like gated access, boat ramp, community docks, saltwater swimming pool, lakefront picnic area, walking trails, and more. All walkable and golf cart friendly. Don't miss your chance for the perfect lake cottage at the grand opening this Saturday, June the 21st. Enjoy catered food, live music, golf cart tours, and home sites. Opening day at the cottages at Smith Lake, Saturday, June the 21st. Reserve your spot now. For more information, 256-747-7459, 256-747-7459, or go to thecottagesatsmith.com. That's thecottagesatsmith.com.
So last night in Atlanta, the Braves take on the New York Mets. The Mets first place in the National League East, almost a must-win situation for the Braves as they're trying to avoid falling even further back in the NL East race. It did not look good. Bottom of the 8th inning, trail 4-1.
2-2. Swung on and whistled down the left field line. This is going to be big. In to score Allen. In to score Acuna. Here comes Verdugo. And he will score. The game is tied. 3 RBI double by Ozuna as he just lit the fuse and whistled one down the left field line. Lonzo has grounded into a dozen double plays this season. One of those right here would be nice. And he lifts one to deep right. Going back now, Acuna to the warning track. Ronald jumps up and he reels it in. Now they throw to first and they double off Soto. It's a double play by Acuna from deep right field. Outstanding play by Ronald to make the catch, and then Soto was asleep at the switch.
Big crowd, over 36,000 in the pitch. Swung on, lifted into center field and deep. On the run, Taylor. That's going to be deep enough. He makes the catch right up against the wall, but tagging and scoring and winning are the Atlanta Braves. Austin Riley put a charge in one and almost hit it out of here in a deep sac fly, and the Braves walk it off in an amazing comeback win against the Mets.
Braves win 5-4 in extra innings. Huge win. Marcell Ozuna's 3-run double in the bottom of the 8th tied it. Austin Riley, as you just heard, a sac fly in the 10th, won it for the Braves.
Mets have lost 4 in a row after getting swept by the Rays. The Suits' former team, the Washington Nationals, now 10 in a row that they have lost. So maybe it's the time for the Braves with the Phillies also coming up on the schedule, and you got a return trip to New York with the Mets. Maybe they can get something rolling. I sure hope so.
It's amazing. Dating back to 2022, the Braves are 24-10 against the Mets.
That ain't bad.
No, it's not bad at all. Chris Sale on the bump tonight. He's 4-4, 2.79 ERA. He's going to face Paul Blackburn, who is winless. He's got a record of 0-0, has a 6.75 ERA. You heard one of the important plays in the game with Juan Soto, and obviously Conrad being a big Juan Soto fan from his Yankees days, he was an outstanding base runner for the Yankees, was he not?
I mean, yeah, he's pretty good, I guess.
If he hits a ball like he hit early in that game off for Spencer Swellenbach, he can take his time.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
He didn't miss any of that baseball.
So
all the stitches.
If you're watching the game, there was a little bit of confusion. He had led off the top of the inning in the top of the 9th inning with a base hit to right field, and it was a laser. It was like 110 miles an hour off the bat. And he got to first base, and then the polar bear comes up, Pete Alonso, and he hits one up against the wall.
It was a great catch by Acuna.
And Acuna goes up. It doesn't hit the wall, but just right in front of the wall, jumps up, makes the catch. Well, Juan Soto was kind of in no man's land. He had gone a little bit farther than halfway between first and second base, and he was waiting for the first base umpire, who had run out to the outfield to catch and make sure that Acuna Jr. had made the catch. And he was a little bit tardy on his signal of an out. But where Juan Soto was on the base paths, there was no excuse for him not to see what had happened in regards to Acuna making the catch. This was Juan Soto after the game to the New York media. He was asked about that particular play because he got doubled off of first. They did not score, and then, of course, went to extra innings, and the Braves won.
Just how difficult a play is that when you're caught in between first and second and can't see if he made the catch or if it bounced off the wall?
I mean, we rely on the umpires, so we wait for them to make the call. We have some like that early this year too, and the goal is look for the umpire and make sure he makes the right call. But I felt like he just took way too long to make the decision, and it just put me in a tough spot.
The umpire put him in a tough spot.
Not his fault.
No,
it's the umpire's fault.
No, and I will say, watching the replay, the umpire absolutely was tardy with his call, but where Juan Soto was on the base paths, there was no excuse, none, for him to be waiting to look at the umpire to make a call as opposed to seeing what Acuna Jr. was doing in right field.
As a Braves fan, we welcome all the brain farts he's got.
It's the pressure playing in Queens, man. The Bronx is one thing, but they always say if you can cut it in Queens, you can cut it anywhere.
When was the last time that the Yankees scored a run?
Thank you, Pat. That would have been 29 innings ago.
29 innings and you haven't even scored a run.
That's correct.
Run.
It's been really bad. Really bad.
And you've lost how many in a row? 5?
This is like we like to talk about the
Boone
This
swoon.
is the Aaron Boone special, man. Every summer, you're going to hit a couple-week stretch where the Yankees play like arguably the worst team in baseball, and then they'll turn it around.
Where's the Judge fellow? What's he doing?
He's only hitting like 375 now. He's really hitting
His average has dropped that much?
Oh, yeah.
Because he was at like 395 last time I was paying attention.
He was against the Red Sox in 3 games, 1 for 12.
What do you blame that on? Is that the bat?
The torpedo
His
bat.
muscles
Everybody's
have gotten
catching
too
up.
big. He can't swing.
Everybody's catching up.
His muscles?
Yeah, his muscles are too big. He's tight up there.
He's so strong. He is so strong. We will unpack some of what Bill Bender in the Sporting News had to say to us, Illinois and Brett Bielema. Are they for real? Your phone calls as well. 3-man front on Jox.
1235, Jox 94.5. Welcome back into three-man front. You need to do something about that tree before it falls on your property, damages your back deck, your roof, your car, and your driveway. Call Golston Tree Service today at 205-337-4443. Golston Tree Service handles the little jobs like the trimming the hedges or shaping trees to hazardous jobs like line clearance and big jobs like complete tree removals from cranes. They also have the 24-hour emergency storm work. So when we have these bad storms in the afternoons and you need service immediately, they can help you out at Golston Tree Service. The number again, 205-337-4443.
Going back to our conversation with Bill Bender of the Sporting News. If you missed that, you can find it at joxfm.com and the Three Man Front podcast. Sporting News has Alabama listed at number 9 in their preseason rankings. They got Miami at 10 and Illinois, one of those teams. It's a very polarizing team when it comes to preseason rankings. Some people are buying them. The Sporting News apparently are buying them. There's some people that aren't. How about our next caller? Bama Hater. How are you?
What's going on, fellas? I told the guy that screamed me I was calling to bring some heat to this already hot weather out here in Birmingham today.
Bring it. We don't need any more rain, but you can bring a little heat.
Hey, man, I got a few questions, and you guys can you can all pick which one you want to answer. But I got some questions because I heard you guys talk about Illinois playing a 9-game conference schedule, or if they play one. So I got a few questions.
Okay.
The first question is, if Bama played a 9-game conference schedule this season, what would their record be? Second question.
8-1.
Is Bama's dynasty officially over if Vanderbilt beats them in Tuscaloosa? Or, question number 3, if Bama can't make the playoffs with 4 guaranteed SEC spots, is the dynasty officially over? And the last question, how does a 4-loss team deserve a top 10 preseason ranking unless we can do a public service request on those coaches' bank accounts that made those decisions?
I will take question. I think this was question number 2 first.
That's the one I wanted to answer.
That was a casserole of questions.
I can tell you that the Alabama dynasty is dead. I don't think that's in question. They have not won a national championship since 2020. Haven't played for one in a few years. I consider the fact that, I mean, they're one of the best football programs in America. That hasn't changed. But as far as the term dynasty goes, yeah, in my opinion, the dynasty is dead.
Pat, I can partially agree.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Is because I don't think you can consider yourself a dynasty or still one of the elites when you're losing to 2 unranked teams when you're ranked in the top 10. I'm gonna stick to that point until I'm blue in the face.
All right, Landrum.
We know.
Landrum, which one do you want to answer?
No, it was the dynasty one. You took it.
So I took your answer?
Well, it was 2 dynasty questions that he had. One was if they don't if they're not one of the teams in the college football playoff. The other had to do with Vanderbilt.
No, it's if they're not one of the playoff teams with 4 guaranteed SEC spots.
Oh, okay. I agree with Pat. The dynasty is done. It's done.
I mean, I can't believe what I'm hearing today. What?
You didn't mark this date down.
Put it eating for lunch.
Put mushrooms.
Ayahuasca.
Put this in your iPhone notes on this date on the 18th of June in the year of our Lord 2025.
Are you guys going to beat Georgia Tech this year?
I don't know. Look, man. I've told you guys over and over in preseason time, around this time every year, I do not fall for the banana in the tailpipe just because of NIL transfers.
That was a great movie,
and what I hear about recruits. I don't go for it until Miami proves to me that there's a defensive coach down there that actually teaches DBs how to cover and linebackers how to tackle. I'm just going to wait and see the product on the field. And that's exactly why I think we as fans need to wait. We need to watch teams play, and these coaches need to watch teams play at least, in my opinion, 4 games before we rank any of these teams, because we're going on blind loyalty. We're going on brand and what teams have done in the past, and it's unfair to those teams that have to struggle every year from number 20 through 25 all the way up through the rankings just to get a playoff spot.
Let me ask you about Miami quickly before we let you go. In all these preseason magazines, and you've just laid out, you don't pay much attention to that till about 4 weeks into the season. I get that. But I was just curious, your line of thinking in regards to, I've seen Miami as high as 8 or 9. I've seen them as low as 17. Does that seem like kind of the sweet spot in your opinion in regards to what they have coming back? Or you think they need to be a little higher or a little bit farther down?
I think Miami should be anywhere from 10 to 15.
Okay.
I think we got holes as far as the playoff spot. That I can't change that now. That's over with and done with. But they're only basing most of that on Carson Beck. If he goes down, then what? It's just like Bama. If they lose to FSU out of the gate, is that another top 10 ranking that was just missed? And put other teams at a disadvantage. I mean, that's why I don't like preseason rankings.
A lot of people
Miami hadn't proved.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people agree with that, Bama hater.
Miami hadn't proved to me that they're a defensive team here in the last 15 years. So I'm not going to get excited until I see an improvement on that side of the ball.
Miami has not been worth a flip since you guys left the Big East. Let's be honest.
No, we were in the. I think we were in one of the what do they call it? We was on the byline until the last week of the playoffs last year, and we lost a dumb game to Syracuse. With 2 losses, we got kicked out of the playoffs.
Well,
so
strength of schedule.
I understand the bias and all that stuff, but it's just unfair, and it's never going to be fair, in my opinion.
But you were mad at Alabama for losing twice to unranked teams.
But that's Alabama. It's a different standard.
Yeah, but Bama had 3. Hey, Bama had 3 losses before the Iron Bowl kicked off too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so 2, 2, and 3 is a big number in college football, but as we just saw, it really isn't.
Bring back Manny Diaz to coach that defense. Oh, that's right.
I agree with that. He never should have gone. He's not in my opinion, not a head coach. He's a defensive coordinator.
Yep,
that's where he's best at.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
for sure. Bama hater, thank you.
Y'all have a good one, man. And if you don't hear from me before the 4th, and I'm sure you will, you guys have a good holiday.
Hey, thank you for your service, Bama hater. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
You too. All right.
Appreciate it. Bama hater, 1-800-239-WJOX. We will continue with your calls, your texts as well on the Courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. Phone lines are open at 1-800-239-WJOX, courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. Big story coming out last night from the Action Network's Brett McMurphy. He reported that conference commissioners in Asheville, North Carolina have decided to start over on determining the 2026 college football playoff format. So we'll see if that is indeed the case, and if they are starting over, what is now the prevailing thought on what would be the number one idea moving forward in the 2026 college football playoff. Is it the 5-11? Is it just 1 through 16? Is it
the 4-1-1-1-1-4?
Possibly.
I don't know. There's so many. Just decide on one.
I think now with the Pac-12 adding Texas State, that's really why they're restarting this, because we now have to give them an auto bid.
I mean, I, for one, would love another full calendar year of talking about hypothetical postseason scenarios.
I think,
you guys?
But I thought that the Texas State canceled out with the Sacramento State not getting the approval.
You know, I don't want to be talking about the on-the-field product. I want to continue to talk about the legal ease of college football and how universities are going to find $20.5 million to pay student athletes.
Yep.
I don't care about what's happening on the field between the hash marks.
Whatever happened to the good old days where you got a member institution suing their own conference?
That wasn't too long
ago. You mean
ago.
A year ago? 2 years ago?
The good old days.
I thought you were going to say the good old days of crop dusters dropping hell bales of hay with money inside of it, paying players.
They would never do that, Pat.
No, but that happened.
Yeah.
Or
Props
going
for creativity.
Or going to Auburn and getting a free steak.
Yeah.
Or going to Tuscaloosa and finding yourself in a brand new suit.
And in the pocket of that suit.
Or driving around in a brand new
is
Charger.
A set of keys to a brand new Charger.
Exactly. I miss those days.
I do too.
Those were fun.
Yep.
But instead, we're talking about kicking the can down the road for another 12 months of what we're going to do on a college football playoff. Meanwhile, the FCS, they've got that thing dialed in.
Whatever happened to maybe the nail salon or doing somebody's hair and then taking a fast food sack and filling it full of money?
We heard what Wim Sanderson says on this show on Friday. He's told the story multiple times. Sometimes they'd make sure that the player's mom, went to the beauty salon.
Got their hair done.
Got their hair did.
Yeah, but one thing that we've learned, if you get to the grandmother,
yes,
you get the kid.
You better believe it. That's the key. A lot of your texts coming in on the courtesy GMC text line.
Yeah, I'm going to need a Tyvek suit for some of these. 205-834-9450 on that text line. Oh. All right. So a little bit of context. There was a dust up, would you say, in the WNBA last night?
Mm-hmm. It was like the Malice in the Palace on steroids.
Ponytail on ponytail crime.
It reminded me of the old days of Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer.
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
But yeah, Caitlin Clark was getting picked on, and everyone was mean to her.
That's when the NBA was fun. Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, that one girl that was on the breakaway, though, she kind of did remind me a little bit of Tanya Harding. Just build and
yeah.
I think violence when I think Tanya Harding. Remember poor old Nancy Kerrigan.
What was the Indiana Fever had a very major kudos on a tweet last night after the game. It was one of those typical Pat Smith smartass type tweets.
I love those.
Let me see.
Those are always great.
Let me see what they did.
That's all of your tweets.
I mean, let's see. Where did it go here? It was good.
It also would not surprise me if that was a situation where they put it out there and some people got really mad about it.
And they took it off.
So they had to go and delete it because, we can't have fun anymore. Yeah.
I know I saw it.
Well, hang on. Or would you keep looking?
Okay.
Come back to it. Thomas says if the WNBA does not protect Caitlin Clark and she decides to quit, the WNBA will be back to terrible ratings and little interest. Caitlin Clark is generating so much money for the WNBA, and these other players are so jealous they can't see straight.
Mm-hmm. I think it's quite apparent. They do not like her.
Yeah, I think they deleted it. I wish I'd done a screen grab.
Boo.
It was creative, and it was talking about their enforcer from last night.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can't find it now.
Going back to best trophies in sports, it was the Crystal Football for the college championship. The new one is horrible, Bill.
Yeah, the Crystal Football was outstanding. That was a good look.
Great one.
Steve says players get their name engraved on the Stanley Cup, and each player gets the cup for a day and must host a party. Robert says very good interview with Mr. Schaffel. I agree Florida State should be much improved this season with adjustments in the transfer portal. Very challenging opener for Alabama. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Conrad.
So is the post you're talking about, Pat, was it the one that Sophie Cunningham posted on her social media?
No, it was
just
it was from the Indiana Fever.
okay. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, I'm digging deep now.
Let's put everything on hold. Let's let the music play. Josh in Huntsville says, I will poison the Saban statue if we lose another Iron Bowl. Or damn Eagle, Pat. Woo!
Good luck poisoning iron. Or whatever it's made out of.
You can make it change color. A little acid. Oh.
Would it turn it crimson?
Put that out there. No, more of a greenish blue.
Yeah, thanks, Landrum, for
It kind of looked like Comet. After you wet it and scrub your...
yeah.
You probably... Do you use Comet in your tub? I hope you do.
What's that? Yes, I do.
We get a... Love how everyone forgets why Harvey Updike did it. Shouldn't have spray painted the bear statue.
I thought it was because of the Scam Newton jersey.
I thought it... Pat, what was it?
Yeah, it was the...
You were involved in the trial?
The jersey.
The deposition. Was it the jersey?
It was the jersey.
Yeah, it wasn't spray paint.
Because they put that on, Bear Bryant.
As he said, the Scam Newton jersey.
If you're going to bring it with facts.
That's right.
Should Dave Van Horn, Arkansas's baseball coach, retire if he can't get it done this year?
I mean, based on what Ty Richardson told us yesterday, I don't think so.
I mean, it's really hard to win a College World Series.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have gotten this close so many times, I know that makes it more heartbreaking, but that's impressive.
Lance says, please repeat that so Bama Hater can hear it. Miami has yet to win an ACC championship since joining the league in 2004. What a bunch of losers. I'd be worried about Bama too, son, when you're in a league at that. Hater. BH is a joke. Thank you, Lance. Appreciate it. Come join us at Social Taco during the fall. Or next week. Dan says, hey, Brett Bielema, the coaches don't vote. The presidents do. And I can't say that.
Must have been a good one then.
Nah, it has something to do with Bama Hater, and he might be allergic to the same thing you are.
He seems to like them.
We got more texts, and we'll get to those coming up the next hour. Pat ponders, and Conrad has seen something bad. It's the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. Landrum, Conrad, Molly, and Pat here on Jox. Hour number 4, three-man front here on Jox. Glad you're with us. Appreciate the interaction as always on the Jox text line. Your phone calls, welcome as well. 800-239-WJOX. College World Series cranking up again today in Omaha. You get Coastal Carolina and Louisville. Then later on tonight, the rematch of what we got in game 1 between LSU and Arkansas. LSU trying to cruise into the championship series. And all likelihood, the way that the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina have been playing, it will be that particular matchup. Get the Braves tonight, trying to make it 2 in a row over the New York Mets. Come from behind win in dramatic fashion last night. You hear the Braves all season long here on Jox 94.5 and our Jox network of stations. Also, Diego Pavia yesterday in a podcast revealing that he was offered $4 million to $4.5 million by an SEC school.
All right, let's say that happened. What is the likely candidate for the $4 million? What school? If we're living in Diego's world and that is reality.
I mean, the top of mind goes to like Texas, but you're not going to pay that when you have Arch Manning.
No.
I don't think Georgia's paying $4.5 million for Pavia.
No,
or any quarterback.
No. I mean, Mississippi State, but is Mississippi State, they're not throwing out $4.5 million for a guy like him. I think he would actually do pretty well.
And I mean,
Levy's offense, but
I mean, the joke, the easy one is, Auburn couldn't beat him, so they were going to go pay that much money to bring him over there. There's no way they're paying that. I'll tell you this: that was a straight up lie. I do not believe what he said for 1 second.
I'm just trying to think of because there will only be a handful of teams in the country, that would be willing to pay that much money for any quarterback.
Yeah.
And he beat Alabama and Auburn last year, but he wasn't a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. He is not going to be one of the top picks in the NFL draft.
I mean, if he got paid $4.5 million, he might be the highest earning player in college football this year.
I was watching the podcast, and did he say that he was making $150,000 at New Mexico State?
Yes. Yeah, something around that.
Well, Kentucky, they shelled out big money for Brock Vandagriff, and that didn't pay off. So would Kentucky be willing to shell?
As evidenced by the acquisition of Zach Calzada, I think not.
I'm not calling him a liar like Conrad is, but I do believe, just from talking to coaches and people who are familiar with some types of these deals, that embellishment happens when you go on a podcast or when you're talking to a member of the media and you want it printed, and then it becomes.
Yeah, because nobody's going to call you out on it.
No.
No, do I think maybe he has an agent or somebody that says, hey, this is what we're hearing for the top quarterbacks is $4.5 million. We're going to see if, that's on the table for you. I believe that conversation.
A conversation like, hey, Diego, you sure you want to stay there in Nashville? Yeah. Hey, I got SEC teams saying they'll give you $4.5 million.
And I have no doubt that he had $1 million offers from other programs to go somewhere else, but $1.5 and $4.5 million is a big difference.
All right, let's listen to what he had to say with Bussin' with the Boys podcast in regards to that $4 million that another SEC school was willing to pay him.
How much after the year was the portal blowing up for you on potential teams wanting you to come be the quarterback for them at a different school?
A lot. It was less nuts. It was less reaching out to me. It was like more reaching out to like my brothers and my family and stuff.
Was there a dollar amount that you heard that was like, holy?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to share, but like anywhere from like 4 to 4.5
to leave and go somewhere else.
To leave.
What conference?
SEC.
Checks out.
Ooh, in conference. Any Big Ten teams trying to get you?
You want to play with the best. You don't want to play with the Big Ten.
Okay.
Woo. Woo.
I do like the little shot he took at the Big Ten there.
Why was he not supposed to tell us? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say it. Why?
Because he doesn't know if the number's actually real or not.
Because that anonymous school might get upset.
He also had something interesting to say about the University of Tennessee. This is what he had to say about Vanderbilt now owning the state of Tennessee.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of like college football is going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever like talk about that? Like, we got to be the state school.
Well,
we're in Nashville, Tennessee.
Like,
we're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have like the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So like we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
You think Vandy will have the most money in the game? Or
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
So he's going to lean on the country music artist and the other folks there in Nashville.
Yeah, so does anyone believe his first comment now after hearing that? Vanderbilt when we have the most NIL money in the country.
I mean,
bless him.
I mean, Vanderbilt wouldn't even have even if we were back in the old division days of the SEC, it wouldn't even have the most NIL money in the SEC East.
Now, maybe endowment.
When does Vanderbilt football become the staple on their own campus? Because the last time I checked, they're not drawing that many fans.
That's a great point.
Well, write a check. We just don't want to come see you play.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way it goes?
Look, I applaud him for what he has put Vanderbilt on the map in a way that they haven't been in a long time, and he is trying his best to build up the hype and momentum of that program, and I will give him credit for that. But I think it's very obvious that maybe he doesn't have the greatest understanding of their financial situation.
Okay, I just read the text, guys. But one text comes in on the Jox text line and says, I think it was 4 million pesos that he was offered.
Do we have the conversion rate on that?
Yes, I'm looking at it now.
Please do.
So basically, a nickel represents a peso. So you want to do the math? I just gave you the conversion.
So it's 1/5 of a US dollar, or 1/20th. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
800.
Everybody's looking at their iPhones.
I'm not.
I'm not either.
That would be $200,000.
$200,000, which is more than he was getting in Mexico
That's
State.
That's right. Yeah. So maybe he was right.
Maybe the texter's onto something.
Maybe so. Jake says, I wish there was a lie detector on Pavia during that podcast. Can't wait until Bama beats Vandy 58-0 this fall.
The only thing better is if he had said that at the end that Tennessee was the team that offered him $4 million.
Well,
yeah,
because Big John threw out
Yeah, exactly.
Big John threw out his two guesses for who out of the SEC would have offered that kind of money if it was offered, and he said Texas A&M or Tennessee.
I mean,
I was about to say with Texas. I mean, I feel like you probably feel pretty good, Marcel Reed, and you're going to pay $4 million for Diego Pavia and not Nico.
Now, Josh does make a good point. Had they known what they know now, he said, "Man, I'm sure Tennessee would have thrown a bag at Pavia." Looking back.
Oh yeah, now knowing how their situation played out, yeah, maybe they did.
Jody says Oklahoma, and I thought about that. He says Oklahoma might have had that kind of interest in Pavia before getting Mateer. They paid $2 million for Mateer, according to Jody.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
And Collins from Pell City says, good for Vandy, clearly lowering the academic standards to become more competitive. Pavia is a good ball player, but clearly not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He's passionate.
He's a good hype man, right? He'll pump you up.
And his brothers handle most of his activity, right? Like the transfer portal and endorsements and all that stuff.
I guess based on what he said, how he said it was mainly people contacting his family members about transferring. So, yeah.
How many more years does he have now with the Diego Pavia rule?
4.
I mean, he talked in futuristic terms.
I mean, he has to come back to Vanderbilt as a... Maybe he could be the general manager. Do they have one of those yet?
I don't know it, but...
He could be the spokesperson.
If he's quarterbacking that team on his 30th birthday, that will be amazing.
I was about to say, let's make a special rule. He already has a special rule, but we'll make it just for him. He can play as long as he wants.
I'm Diego Pavia. In over a decade of playing football here at Vanderbilt,
$4 to $4.5 million for Diego
Yeah,
Pavia.
that's absurd.
Yeah.
But everybody in Nashville is going to contribute to the NIL fund.
I'm sure Skip Bayless has put a bunch into that. Wonder if him and Jay Cutler ever talk. Diego Pavia and Jay. That'd be an interesting conversation.
Or Jerry Stackhouse wrote some of his monies that Vanderbilt had to pay him off when they fired him.
No, Vanderbilt just got his wardrobe, and they sold off all those $1,000 suits he wore every night.
That'd have been good. Want to remind everybody about a free roof inspection going on right now at Abide Roofing. That's abideroof.com, or you can call Travis Lloyd at 205-922-7134. I'm telling you right now, taking advantage of that free roof inspection is huge because with all these really bad storms that we've had over the last month and a half, you need to make sure that you have the peace of mind of knowing that your roof is in okay shape. And if it's not, that's okay because Abide Roofing and the local roofing team there at Abide Roofing, they can take care of you. No strings attached on that free roof inspection. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up top. It's very important because I had some problems. I had some issues. I probably could have tackled them a little bit earlier than I did, but when it got really bad, I called Travis Lloyd and he got on my roof. He dealt with my insurance company. I was able to get a roof. 100% trust these guys. They're licensed, bonded, insured. They're the real deal at Abide Roofing. AbideRoof.com is the website. 205-922-7134.
We'll get to your phone calls. Some of you weighing in on Diego Pavia and what he told the podcast you just heard about the $4.5 million offer from an anonymous SEC school. That more three-man front continues here on Jox.
You know, my teammates like to poke fun of me a lot of times because I do spend probably way too much money on television subscriptions and also newspaper publications. I still like having the ink stain on my hands every morning. You know what I'm saying? As I read a newspaper. Who doesn't, right?
I mean, I like a physical newspaper every now and then, but the ink stains, no.
You don't like that?
Well, it transfers to other things.
Okay. Well, one of my subscriptions that Conrad makes fun of me all the time. It's one of my go-to overseas newspapers.
The Irish Times.
The Irish Times.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually saw a story as
How
I
do
was
you
reading
understand that language.
Breaking news from the Irish Times, Pat?
There was something that I could actually use on this program for my subscription. It paid for itself.
I was about to say, yeah.
The subscription that I have to the Irish Times is about to pay off. Yesterday, more than 600,000 people were in the queue on Ticketmaster in Ireland trying to get tickets to the NFL game between the Vikings and Steelers.
Wow.
600,000.
That's a whole island.
The game is scheduled for Sunday, September the 28th. The tickets have received considerable interest from abroad, with roughly a third of those pre-registering on the website from Ireland, a third from the United States, and the third from the UK or other countries in Europe. Fans were frustrated because we're talking about 600,000 people trying to get into the queue to purchase tickets. They said it was very slow moving. People were online for hours just to get to the point to where you may be able to purchase tickets. You remember the frustration we had last year. Molly broke my laptop trying to get Cardinals Giants tickets. Just kept hitting refresh. Ticket prices for the game between the Vikings and the Steelers, they start as low as $110 if you want to sit up top. If you want lower deck seating, it'll cost you $400. But that was the main headline on the Irish Times yesterday. Don't forget about everything going on in the world right now.
Got to move to Ireland.
But the main headline was 600,000 people were in the queue on the Ticketmaster website trying to get tickets to the NFL game, the first ever in the country of Ireland.
It's quite a bargain considering they give away beer.
Mm-hmm.
When their touched or tap to pay breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Gaelic, but
no, it's not.
I hope that guy gets to do one of the broadcasts.
There's 5.3 million people in Ireland.
Oh.
That's crazy. So over 10% of their population was in queue to buy a ticket to that game.
Yep.
Wow.
Amazing. NFL knows what they're doing.
I was about to say the Shield, man. Unbeatable.
800-239-WJOX. Miles is in the Magnolia State. Hi, Miles.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
I have a question about the playoff, but first, quick trivia. June 17th was yesterday. Why is that date significant in popular culture history?
June 17th.
I'm trying to remember.
No cheating.
Yeah.
No.
No one's Googling.
That was the date that I Love Lucy, they actually said that she was pregnant.
That might be true. I have no idea. But
Okay.
I can tell you this. I know where you were on June 17th, about 31 years ago. You were watching a white Bronco speed down the L.A. freeway.
Sure was. Wow.
And if you haven't seen the 30 for 30 about June 17th, because there were about 5 different things going on, you need to watch it.
Yep.
That was during the NBA Finals, right?
Yes, NBA Finals, NHL, Arnold Palmer's last 9 holes, and OJ. So I guess I have a language barrier with the Big Ten. So apparently what's best for college football is whatever the Big Ten's TV partners want.
So it seems like, doesn't it?
Apparently having that play-in game and the 4 automatics, that's, Brett Yormark was speaking that way earlier. It's interesting. They each have their own idea But it's I'm just going to start saying whatever's best for the world is what I want. I'm going to borrow that. Academia loves committees. They love committees. Committees can't watch every game. The eyes and the brain do lie also. Here's my question. If a conference was confident in its teams, wouldn't it push for an all at large that was decided by an RPI formula and no committee? If it was really confident in its teams, which is, by the way, what Sankey's pushing for.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Because one thing's for sure, based on the data over the last 10 plus years, you look at it, the SEC, some years, if you do the 16-team model, the SEC would get more than 5 teams in basically just an at-large as opposed to the automatic qualifiers.
Beautiful. You're speaking the truth, y'all.
We try. Sometimes Landrum embellishes a little bit, but we try.
Yeah. Makes the world go round.
Well, y'all treat yourself to the 30 for 30 on June 17th if you haven't. It's great.
Will do.
I remember exactly where I was, though. I'm glad you brought that up because we were at my dad's buddy's house. They had us over for dinner, and that's something you'll never forget. That's for sure.
I played in a softball league, and I had just finished up, and I was in Wywood and Bessemer, and I was coming the back road through Hoover, and I stopped at a Chevron on one of those back roads, and inside the Chevron, because I'd stopped to get me a Gatorade, I stopped off, and right behind the cashier was a television, and it was OJ on the freeway in L.A.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Molly and Conrad weren't alive.
Yeah, they weren't even alive. They have no idea who OJ was.
Wasn't there a surge in Broncos sales after that, though?
White ones, especially.
Yeah.
Oh man, who was the guy who drove
Al
Cowens?
Cowens. Al Cowens.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And
supposedly didn't O.J. Simpson call Marcus Allen in the back of the car and tell Marcus Allen that he was going to kill himself? No, I think that's true.
Norm Macdonald was booted from Saturday Night Live because he kept cracking OJ jokes, and OJ was buddies with an executive at NBC, and he didn't like it.
Ah.
You can go on YouTube and find a giant collage of all of Norm, all of his OJ jokes. It's priceless.
Well, after all the evidence and all the documentaries that I have seen, I am convinced that OJ did it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, there's no question.
The new one that came out, his agent came out and said in the documentary, yeah, I'll admit it. OJ told me he did it one day. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can just go look up what a juror was interviewed within the past few years. Yeah, you could easily find that interview. And what she says is fascinating, that essentially OJ getting off was payback for Rodney King. A juror actually said that.
Do you remember the late night talk shows, though, all the things that spawned from that? The dancing Itos, like Judge Ito, and they had the dancing Itos on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. It was really good stuff. Unfortunate what happened, but,
Yes.
Miles?
Yes. Y'all, I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Apparently, the reason he was trying to call Marcus Allen was because it was always thought through O.J. Simpson that Marcus Allen had an affair with Nicole Brown Simpson.
Well, I think one of those documentaries, didn't he witness something that was going on? We'll save that for somebody else's podcast.
For the Diego Pavia podcast.
Yes. We'll save that for a Naked Gun remake review.
That's right. 5 questions asked by Pat. We're going to try to answer them. Pat ponders next.
129. We'll lead you up to the Paul Feinbaum show. We'll do some Pat Ponders. We'll also do some The Worst Thing I've Seen. Conrad apparently has seen something that has made him nauseous.
And that's hard to do.
It is hard to do.
Yeah, especially the way he starts every morning. But anyway.
Well, let me tell you again about Diamonds Direct because it truly lives up to the name. There's no middleman, there's no runaround, just incredible diamonds straight from the source. And the price is way more reasonable than I expected. You get exactly what you want, and you don't have to empty your savings account to do it. Plus, right now, there's a pretty amazing deal going on. If you buy an engagement ring, and you get the wedding band free. Seriously, a free wedding band. Lucky you if you're thinking about getting engaged and popping the question here soon. Their selection is huge. And by the way, everything from $500 gifts to so much more. And the perks keep coming, including free cleanings, free sizing, and lifetime service. So that's our friends over at Diamonds Direct.
Early going College World Series, the Shanties, Coastal Carolina not wasting any time. They've already chased Louisville's pitcher. They lead 2-0, bases loaded with nobody out. We'll keep you updated on that. 5 questions from Pat. We try to answer. This is what we call Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Go by and see them right off of I-459 exit 32 in Trussville. Best deals anywhere on a brand new GMC is there at Courtesy GMC. In the wake of the Florida Panthers winning their second consecutive Stanley Cup, the question is, who is the most dominant team in American sports?
Just right now, current
Right
day?
now. Panthers have won back-to-back Stanley Cup.
I'm sure we're going to miss some from, some team out there that's, won like 6 straight titles in a niche sport or something. But, I still think you have to go with the Chiefs.
As of right now.
As of right now. Yeah, I know
Still
they didn't
the
win
Chiefs.
this. Yeah, they still made the Super Bowl this past year.
Okay.
My first thought was the Chiefs, even though they lost.
Even though they lost, you said just dominant team in sports.
Yeah, who is the most dominant team in American sports?
Oklahoma softball.
That's good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They, too, did not win.
No.
But 4 in a row before that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were sniffing it. So
Yeah, they were still in contention. Yeah. I think that's good. Who are we missing? Are we missing somebody? You just had this look on your face like we missed something.
No, I was just...
The Indiana Fever, Pat.
he was pondering.
That's why I asked these questions.
He was whittling a piece of wood on his front porch.
Yeah, but
watching it rain.
He gets this twinkle in his eyes sometimes, and you know there's something.
I saw the twinkle too.
I don't know what it is, but there's something.
That means he's got a good parlay that he's going to throw down on later on.
Number 2, name a college football player who should have won a Heisman but didn't.
Peyton Manning.
Tua.
The Husker in me wants to say Sue, but I know that's really controversial.
That's super controversial.
Yeah. A lot of Nebraska
Why do you
fans
think
feel
it's
that way.
controversial?
Because a lot of people just don't think he should have won.
Because he's a defender.
Defender.
Right, yeah.
No, because he's a dirty player, Pat.
And that. But Husker fans think he should have.
Anybody else?
I was also like 8 when he was up for Heisman, so.
I feel very convicted about mine. I will take that one to the grave.
But Peyton Manning is a good one.
I was at a party the night that Woodson won it over Peyton Manning, and it was stunning how everybody at the party was just like, what?
Yeah, it was bogus. Peyton Manning should have won.
Yeah, he should have.
Just like Tua should have won over that shrimp out there in
That's
Oklahoma.
that's the shining example of Heisman snubs, Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson year.
Mm-hmm.
It's that one.
You know, I'll never forget when Alabama played Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl and the number of Alabama media that came back and said, whatever number that they've got Kyler Murray listed on his height is a lie. Like, big time lie.
Hmm? Yeah, he's probably closer to like 5'10".
Like middle school quarterbacks taller than Kyler Murray.
But he's shifty.
Oh, he was outstanding.
Yeah,
but,
great player.
But it was just the fact that they were amazed at how small he really was.
Looks like a guy who would play video games, not quarterback. Whoops.
Looks like a guy that was down 28-0 in that game. Oops.
Oops.
All right, question number 3. You have to delete one of these things from sports. Which one are you going to delete? March Madness, the College World Series, or the College Football Playoff? Which one of those 3 are you deleting?
Bye-bye, Omaha. Sorry.
I'm so hurt.
I love the College World Series, but it's nothing compared to the College Football Playoff and March Madness. That is you could argue that's the pinnacle of American sports.
It's Omaha. Dang it.
I wish there was a way to work around that. Like, change them in some way, but
I was
I'm
hoping
assuming there
Frozen 4
isn't.
was going to be an option.
I mean, probably probably the CWS.
Man.
But I did want to kind of say the College Football Playoff and then bring back the BCS, but I didn't think that'd be allowed.
I would have allowed it.
Okay.
That would have been a very clever answer.
But now we just all know that Molly hates Omaha and she wants the College World Series.
That's right.
to
She
get
really
taken
hates
away.
Nebraska. Period.
Yeah, totally.
She does.
Question number 4. Which professional sport does the manager or head coach matter the most?
The most?
Mm-hmm. What manager or head coach matters the most in professional sports?
I would be torn between offensive and defensive coordinators. I don't know which one I would pick over the other. But I do think that it would be a football coach, and I think it'd be either your OC or your
He said
DC.
head coach or manager. Details, right?
Okay, well.
Thank you, Landrum. I
No,
appreciate
I
you
heard it
playing
too.
fairly.
I thought you just said coach, and I was like, ooh.
He hears
loophole.
what he wants to hear.
That's right.
He creates things.
Yeah.
Thought
out
I
of
found a
thin air.
loophole.
Ooh.
Cole was really good at that, too.
Yeah, it was. Does crew chief count?
No.
Okay.
Let me read the question again. Manager or head coach matter the most in professional sports?
I guess I'll go NBA because they fire them so often. And apparently they have a really big impact. Hey, just went deep into the playoffs. See you later.
Man, this is a really, really tough question. I guess I'll go since I was going to cheat.
Do you have
go
a remedial
offensive
question
coordinator.
for Conrad?
Let me try to find one.
I will go NFL head coach. I will go NFL head coach. I think NBA head coach should be right behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to talk me into NBA head coach because a lot of them are divas.
Yeah.
And dealing with all of those personalities.
And Major League Baseball manager, in some cases, you might as well be a coat rack.
See, I disagree with that. I think Major League Baseball, if I were answering this question, I would say Major League Baseball manager.
Really?
See, I was kind of thinking manager too.
No, don't piggyback on his.
No, I'm not. I was thinking that.
Every single day, you're making a lineup out.
Right, yeah.
You're managing the bullpen. You're managing things that are going on in the locker room.
Sorry, maybe I just have a bad example with my manager. Because it seems like some days it's a fan vote.
He pulled the right levers last night.
He did. Thank you, Freddie Gonzalez.
That was a really good question.
You want me to dumb it down for you next time?
Yes, thank you, Pat. No, just let me answer all the questions how I want to answer them.
Just create your own questions.
That's right.
We've had contestants like that on the show.
Yes, many times. All right, next question. On this date back in 1976, the ABA-NBA merged. As part of the merger agreement, the NBA agreed to accept the 4 remaining of the 7 ABA teams. The Nuggets, Pacers, Nets, and Spurs all came over from the ABA to the NBA. There were 3 remaining ABA teams: the Kentucky Colonels, the Spirits of St. Louis, and the Virginia Squires.
I thought you were going to say the Tropics.
Hey, Jackie Moon.
So the Colonels, the Spirits of St. Louis, the Virginia Squires, those three were hoping for an invite. They didn't get it. Those teams folded. So my question is, of the three teams that I just mentioned, the Colonels, Spirits, and Squires, which one of those three has the coolest name to you that you wish somebody would adopt today? Colonels, Spirits, or Squires?
I like Spirits.
Wasn't that a plane? Spirit
Yes,
St.
it was
Louis?
named for Charles Lindbergh's plane, the Spirit of St. Louis.
Yeah, Spirit Airlines.
Thank you, Landrum. Thank you, Pat, for giving me the answer I was actually looking for. Yeah, I like that one.
And you can, it's a play on words. I feel like Colonels, people wouldn't pronounce it right or spell it right.
Well, nobody wants to be named after unmade popcorn. That's not very fun.
But if you had, I think I'll go Colonels.
Colonels?
Yeah.
The old Kentucky Colonels.
And isn't the squire like aren't you just like a servant to a king? I don't want to be a squire. It's not very fun.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a bonus question today. I know it's Wednesday.
Game of Thrones, when the king was away, the squire actually
came out to play.
Well, he did well. Pat knows.
Yeah. All right, here's your bonus question for today. For the first time ever, streaming surpassed cable and over-the-air broadcasts in the month of May. Last month, 45% of all television viewers were streaming their content. They weren't getting it off cable or over the air. What streaming service do you use and watch the most?
It's changed for me. Actually, watch a good bit of Prime just because it's under Prime. And I don't know if that counts, but you have...
Yeah, it does.
You have Paramount, you have FanDuel now, all kind of comes
So
under
the Prime is and then you are able to do the sub channels after that, the Paramounts and the other things.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have YouTube. We have YouTube TV for our cable, but I've found myself watching more and more just YouTube.
Yeah.
Whether it be a documentary, whether it be a podcast, or just they got really, really good stuff. If you're reading through books of the Bible, summaries and different things that you can consume there.
2021 Braves highlights.
Maybe.
Every now and then.
Every now and then.
All right, so yours is YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
Conrad, Molly?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is kind of cheating. Mine would be Hulu, but a lot of that has to do with I have HBO through Hulu, so I can like watch all the HBO stuff on. So I kind of have both in one app. So that would probably be the one, just because it's 2 for 1.
I would say Prime.
Prime.
When I'm not using YouTube TV.
So last month, the number one streaming service in America was YouTube TV. 12.5% of the audience was using that, followed by Netflix, other streaming devices, Disney, which incorporates ESPN.com, Hulu, because Disney owns all those, at 5%, Prime Video at 3.5%, and Roku was next at 2.5%. So those are the leading streaming services for May. But it was the first time ever that all of those combined eclipsed cable television or over-the-air television.
If we had someone that would be willing to install, do all of that stuff for you, and cut the cable for you, would you be willing to do it?
I'd be willing to do it, but when it's all said and done, I think it all would add up to...
It's going to be 1:15 in the morning, and Pat's going to try to find the Korean Baseball League, and it's not going to be on. He's going to go, this is why I had DirecTV.
Here's the reality. So we're going to get our house. We're in line. We've already agreed to it. We're just waiting because of the weather. Our house is going to get painted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It blew me away. So I had to go take the old satellite dish off the house. I haven't used it in a couple of years, but took it off the bracket, the dish, everything else. But the amount of cables, like old phone lines that were running alongside the house. And so I had to go through, and it was just, I had a tester. All right, is this an active line? Making sure you're not cutting anything and it was just a monstrosity of cables and cords. Turned out the only two that were remaining, my Wi-Fi that came in from the line where they ran it, and a gas line.
Good thing you didn't cut those.
Well, you're not gonna cut you'd know if you were about to cut the gas line.
Yeah.
But that was it. And it was a bundle of, just imagine like the circumference would be about the size of one of those big red plastic bats that kids play with. So many cables that we used to rely on.
That's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
Conrad is very mischievous. He looks for things that are naughty. He has seen something naughty. The worst thing that Conrad has seen. Next.
Coming up at the top of the hour, it's the Paul Feinbaum Show here on Jox. You'll be able to hear Blake Topmeyer, outstanding writer for the USA Today Network, John Talty. A couple of Paul's special guests coming up at the top of the hour.
Well, coming up 1 week from today, it's going to be the NBA draft, and that means the Birmingham Squadron's NBA draft party is also a week from today over at the Edge in Homewood. We're going to kick things off at 6 o'clock. All four of us are going to be there alongside head coach TJ Saint, who will be available for meet and greet. They're also going to offer food and drink specials from the Edge tenants. They have arcade card specials, a golf simulator with a chance to win premium season tickets for the Squadron, as well as new merchandise selections and free giveaways. So make sure you join us out at the Edge at Homewood 1 week from today, Wednesday, June the 25th, for the Birmingham Squadron NBA draft party.
For basketball, would we say tip things off or kick things off? I do the same thing. I just question.
Yeah, it'd be tip off. You're right.
But the natural thing is kick things off.
It is, yes.
What would baseball be?
Tap things off?
First pitch things off?
Sure.
Conrad has seen something bad. He's going to share it with us. This is the worst thing that Conrad has seen.
This is the worst thing I've seen.
Been in quarantine and I need to get out and party. Woo! What's better than beach and a few drinks and Jeeps? Man, it can't get better than that. Law enforcement's definitely made their visitability and made people chill out and not be as crazy. The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all great.
All right, we're going to try to get through a double feature of the worst thing that I've seen, because I've seen a lot of bad stuff over the past few days. So we'll start off here in the great state of Florida. And if you've never done this exercise before, really entertaining, go on Google, type in Florida man and your birthday, and see what comes up. Every single day of the year, there is going to be some story that absolutely blows your mind. And if your birthday was May 30th of this year, then this is the story you would find. So a man is now facing criminal charges after police report that he urinated on food at a Sam's Club in Central Florida, damaging over $10,000 worth of meat products.
That's why I go to Costco. I'm just kidding.
So the incident took place on May 30th at Sam's Club in Lady Lake, Florida, just over 50 miles northwest of the Orlando area, according to police, where Patrick Francis Mitchell, a 70-year-old male, was charged with disorderly conduct and criminal mischief with damages of more than $1,000, according to court documents. It says a customer in the store saw a man identified by police as Mitchell urinating in aisle 18 of the store. The customer then took a photo of the man, showed it to store employees, and then a police officer arrived to write up the report. You can't make this stuff up, man.
Did the person taking the picture get in trouble?
Seriously.
For taking a picture of a dude with his thing out?
That's a good question, Pat.
Hey, buddy!
So apparently employees at the Sam's Club reviewed the photo and video surveillance, confirming that the man had, in fact, walked up to 2 pallets of canned goods facing the shelf, placed both of his hands below his belt line, and began to urinate.
It's canned goods. Just wash it off.
Right.
That's why you never drink from the can.
If you're wondering what the items are,
Yes.
You want specifics?
Yes.
Do we have any guesses? Canned meats.
Canned meats?
Spam.
And spam was one part of it. What's another very popular canned meat? Maybe you eat it if you're on a budget.
Viners?
Viners. Vienna sausage.
Oh, yes.
Vienna sausages and spam were the two products. He's peed on over $10,000 of cans of Vienna sausages and spam.
What's the motive?
What sparked this?
Yeah, what's
Was
the
he
motive?
like bartering? I like the people who go in and they barter. Like the prices listen. I'll tell you what I'll give you.
Here's the best part. Afterwards, he then lingered around the store for 10 minutes, continued to shop, purchased some items, and left the store.
He was looking for samples.
So he urinated over Vienna sausages and spam, then kept shopping, bought some things, checked out, walked out of the store. It says it's not immediately clear why the defendant didn't just go to the bathroom. Mitchell has entered a not guilty plea to both charges last week in court, and yeah, that's it. So as of yesterday, he is not listed as an inmate in the Lake County Jail. So we'll see what comes from this. But $10,000 worth of candy.
Good grief.
He really had to go.
Yeah.
10 grand.
He certainly did. So, yeah, again, seriously, though, if you have some free time this afternoon, you want to laugh, go on Google, type in your birthday and Florida man. Just those two words, and you will be astounded.
What are you in here for? It's always the 70-year-old man. Just probably disgruntled. Inflation got him. He's going in there. All he wants is his Spam. Maybe a little potted meat, a little deviled ham, and some Viners. That's all he wanted. He remembered back in the day you could get 7 cans for $1.
Now you pay $10,000 for it.
Apparently so. So what do? Do you just make them pay to replace the food? Jail time?
I think you just tell him, look, we'll handle the damaged goods. We'll pass it on to the manufacturer. That's typically what that particular store does.
There's
but
a great
you're never
Costco
coming.
2 miles
You're
away.
never coming in our store again.
Yeah, safe bet.
That's going to do it for us. We appreciate all of our guests, Brian Edwards, Ira Schofel, Bill Bender, and, of course, all of you. God is great. The Paul Feinbaum and the Paul Feinbaum Show is next here on Jox.